Welcome to the Last Licks podcast. This is a sports show dedicated to talking about the NBA, MLB, NFL, anything sports in general for the most part. But so my name is Paul. This is the first episode. Go around and introduce everybody, my co-hosts. First up is Nick.
I'm Nick. I'm the rare breed of a Yankee Celtics fan. Looking forward to sharing all our sports takes with you guys. Jake, off to you.
I'm Jake, and very opinionated about some certain sports topics, and I can't wait to get into this first episode.
All right, so that's good. Keep a quick intro, and we'll get right to it because today is a busy day in sports. There's really a lot to talk about, and primarily the NBA trade deadline. I mean, first thing we have off the bat is I think the Knicks won the day for the most part.
I totally agree.
I'm a Knicks fan, so I thought they won the day. They got what's his name, Alec Burks and Bogdan Bogdanovic. It's Bojan Bogdanovic. Sorry, not Bogdan. Bojan. They're two different guys that aren't related to each other. They're not brothers. I found out they're not even related or from the same country.
Yeah, two different people.
They have a similar play style too. It's really funny. But so the Knicks picked up those two guys only for Evan Fournier, Quentin Grimes, and 2 second-round picks. It's pretty, it's a home run.
Absolutely.
The biggest thing I see here is the Knicks holding on to their first-round picks. I mean, they have a plethora of first-round picks going forward. I think the fact that they didn't have to move anybody for this, especially with how hot they've been. You've Brunson absolutely electric over the past month. Just the entire Knicks team in general have been absolutely electric. Yeah. Not giving up a first-round pick, holding on to your future, holding on to the potential to keep making moves in the coming years, I think that's going to be huge.
Especially with Quentin Grimes on his downfall, and then you have almost increasingly fucking putting up stats is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the thing with Grimes, it is an unfortunate situation because the Knicks no longer have a player on their roster that they drafted in the first round, and Grimes is the last guy because they got rid of Barrett and Quickly earlier for OG Anunoby, and then they traded Obi Toppin in the offseason. Essentially, this just wasn't working with Grimes because last season he had a great year. He was one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. He was shooting very well. This season started, he had the same opportunity, same role that he was in last season. He just couldn't play well the first, month of the season. And Tom Thibodeau decided, I'm taking him out of the starting lineup and I'm going to put DiVincenzo in. And DiVincenzo's been one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA since he's been inserted into the starting lineup. So, to me, it's unfortunate. With Grimes, everything's gone down with him. His efficiency, his defense, everything's gone down. I mean, he's still a good defender, but it's not like how he was last season. Everything's gone down. So, to me, the Knicks getting rid of him and bringing back a guy like Burks, who back in that Hawks playoff series, he was the only guy really stepping up, dropping 20 points consistently. He is a bucket. He's inconsistent. I get it. But you need a scorer off the bench who you can say, give me the ball and just score for me when, Brunson's got to take a breather, when DiVincenzo's got to take a breather, when Randall's got to take a breather. You have somebody that you can give the ball to and they can shoot the ball. They can get open looks. And then you got Bogdanovic, who, again, I wasn't a huge fan of Bogdanovic initially when people were talking about it and they were saying maybe giving up a first-round pick in this deal. I wasn't too crazy about that because, to me, Bogdanovic is not a fantastic defender. If anything, he's a below average defender.
I'd agree.
So that hurts in that way, but not giving up any first round picks here, only second round picks. You get a guy like that can shoot like that. You get a 20-point per game scorer coming off your bench, I would assume. I don't know if they're going to put him in the starting lineup. Probably, maybe at first, but with a fully healthy roster, you have a 20-point per game scorer coming off your bench. So I think it's a win for the Knicks.
Well, the thing is, you bring up defense here, and I think the Knicks already answered their defense problem by bringing in Anunoby. What was it, a month ago now?
Yeah.
I think they had a huge question mark of how they're going to handle this defensive issue that they've been having this whole season. And I think Anunoby was the answer to that question mark. So I don't think they were really looking to bring in a more defensive-minded player here during the deadline. I think somebody who can come in, score, give that spark off the bench, maybe he makes his way into the starting lineup. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's room for him with the Knicks right now, but I think the Knicks have just robbed the Pistons right now at the deadline. Again, I also looking at this from more of like the player standpoint, I think Fournier has to be ecstatic that he's moved out of New York. I don't think the role that he was filling for them was sufficient for the type of player that I think he can actually become. I think the Pistons, I mean, the way that they've been going this season, I think he has a great chance to just step up personally for him.
He didn't fit Thibodeau's system. And then
Mhm.
when you talk about OG's out now. He's having
Yeah, the news
torn
just came in
foot
today.
So
Mhm.
Bogdanovich might be starting, and with Grimes only averaging 7 points on 39 and 38, and Bogdanovich is coming in averaging 20 on like 38, 40. That's a huge step up, and he might.
No, I think the
Right.
Knicks have definitely won this deal.
Yeah.
But that's not the only trade that has gone down today. Bucks and Sixers, a little bit of a mix up here.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Beverley to the Bucks. Sixers acquiring Cameron Payne, second round pick, way down the line in the future. What do you guys think? Does this answer the problem that the Bucks have been having? Does this help them out? I know defense is something that they've really been lacking in over the year. How does this impact them?
They got a scrappy player in Pat Bev. Hopefully,
I
some
totally
fire
agree.
beat the Bucks. They have Dame, they have Antetokounmpo, they have Middleton. Now you have Pat Bev going there trying to stir some pot, get under some people's skins, get some fire to defense. They're the third seed in the East. Maybe they make a run now, have some flame in the back.
Falling quickly though.
Yeah.
Paul, you got any takes on this, Pat Bev?
Well, here's my thing about that, right? The problem with trading for Dame was your defense was going to take a hit because let's be honest, Dame is one of the worst defenders in the league, especially at this stage.
Absolutely.
So
also, you're losing Drew Holiday in that trade as well,
and they lost Drew Holiday, who's an elite defender. So they needed somebody in there. You can put Pat Bev alongside Dame because Pat Bev's not really he can play point guard, but he's a guy you can put alongside a ball dominant point guard like Damian Lillard. So it works for them. Is it going to be a difference maker? I don't know. Maybe it could win them a few more games because I believe, I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head, but I know their defense is ranked in the 20s. And is that going to put them up to, the top tier defense that they used to be? Because the Bucks used to have one of the best defenses in the NBA consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be that? I don't know. Because also you have an entire new coach and everything with Doc Rivers, and we'll get into that. But I don't know how that's going to really work out for them. It could help. It's a positive move, I would say.
I'm curious to see how their regular season versus playoff team comes. Because
yep,
a whole new game in the playoffs with offense and defense. You feel like more people are trying.
Right.
But something also, I know we're going to go into this a little bit more in depth later on in the show, but is this a little bit of a white flag from the Sixers? I mean, Patrick Beverley, not a bench role player by any stretch of the word. I know he's not a top tier star on that team. I know they still have Maxey, they got Embiid, but are they seeing Embiid going down and thinking maybe this isn't the year? They're looking to next year potentially?
Well, the other deal that they did today was they traded for Buddy Hield, which to me, getting a guy like Hield, who's, again, not a good defender by any means, but he's a lights out shooter, doing that trade for them, to me, says that the Sixers, I think, are still trying to stay afloat. But I don't think they're going in on this year. I don't think they think when and if Embiid can come back this year that they're going to be competing for a championship. So,
I agree too. I think they've kind of threw their hands up a little bit on the season with these moves.
They're still fifth in the East, though.
That's true.
Still fifth in the East with Embiid hurt.
But they're going to slide.
It's pretty weak in the East.
Yeah, they can still stay within, obviously, that play-in range. I don't think they're going to go below that. But, it's getting tough because you get into the play-in tournament, right? And let's say you're matched up with Miami. That's not going to be an easy matchup for them. They're going to come in there wanting to win.
For sure.
You could lose to the Heat. And then let's say they're matched up with a young, hungry team like the Magic, who are, they're really, I just think
play
about
the
that
song, baby.
Play the song. But I'm just thinking about that. Like, it's going to be tough for them, coming in. I don't think they're, if you want my genuine opinion on the 76ers, is I think that they should blow it up. I think
so too. I think their window is gone. I think it's long gone.
They screwed up the second that they decided to keep Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler, and they just didn't handle that right. They had an opportunity to contend for years. They didn't. They fumbled it.
Could have traded Ben Simmons for Halliburton 2 years ago.
Well, they could have done that too. Imagine that.
Future. Everyone thought Ben Simmons was the future, but the man can't stay healthy for more than 2 weeks at a time.
Neither can Embiid.
Yeah.
Oh, that's something we're going to go into for sure. Embiid actually puts out on the court though when he is healthy though.
Yeah.
But other things going on around the league, I would say the next biggest move is probably Raptors and Jazz. Two teams kind of in the race, middle of the road.
They're fighting for the play-in.
Yeah. Fighting for the play-in, maybe jumping up to the 5 or 6 if they get hot a little bit.
Yeah.
Raptors bringing in stretch 5 Kelly Olynyk. And
like
the
that.
Jazz acquiring Otto Porter Jr. definitely past his prime. I think the Raptors got rid of somebody that's definitely on the downfall. He has not been putting out this season at all.
Yeah,
I haven't heard much of him at all.
Yeah, the way I look at that trade is that's Danny Ainge trying to accumulate more assets and just, getting ready for the rebuild and everything, but I don't think he's trying to tank.
I agree.
I like that move for the Raptors because getting a stretch 5, I think, next to RJ Barrett is going to really help RJ, because that's one thing when he was with the Knicks I thought really would have always helped him, was having a center that can shoot the ball, because RJ for his entire career has played alongside centers that can't even make a mid-range jump shot. Mitchell Robinson's been there his entire career. And then besides that, he had Nerlens Noel and Isaiah Hardenstein, all of whom are not shooters at all. Yep. So getting a guy like Olynyk, who's actually one of the best stretch 5s in the league, that could help him out a lot, getting to the rim and everything, the floor spacing and all that. I think that's a good move for the Raptors. I think they could, fight for that play-in spot. Maybe, all you have to do to get in is once you're in the play-in tournament, you just got to win 2 games. That's all you got to do. And then you're in the playoffs, and you never know. Anything can happen. We saw the Heat go to the finals last season as an 8 seed.
Yep, taking down the Bucks in that first round.
Yeah.
Playoff basketball is different than the regular season. Anything can happen.
Oh, yeah. That's any type of playoff sports. I mean, anything happens. That's where the magic happens in sports.
Yeah.
But, I mean, some smaller moves also around the league. Pacers, Spurs. Pacers bring in Dougie McDermott, Dougie McBuckets.
Dougie Buckets, baby.
Yes, sir. Spurs getting the second-round pick, Marquise Morris Sr. I don't think this really has any huge impact. The Spurs aren't doing anything this year. That's no secret.
Yeah.
Pacers, I don't think they're legitimate contenders. They've got one hell of a player in Halliburton.
They got Siakam. They got Siakam for next year.
They do.
Well, to me, the Pacers, all the Pacers moves at the deadline to me were more sellers moves, if anything, like selling Buddy
They
Hield
did look like that too.
for nothing. To me, it doesn't make any sense, considering, I mean, look, I'm from the Knicks fans' perspective, right? I'm like, oh, the East is vulnerable this year because, I'm looking at a team like the Bucks as a team that, maybe they can be beaten. I'm looking at the Celtics as, well, there's a chance Jaylen Brown and Tatum don't perform that well in the playoffs. We've seen them lose in the conference finals
it's happened before.
A bunch of years.
3 years.
And I don't look at any of the other teams there. Like Cleveland, I'm not afraid of Cleveland at all because we faced them fully healthy last season with an inferior team now, and we destroyed them. So I don't
you guys
really,
definitely match up against Cleveland.
I don't feel threatened by Cleveland. I know they've been very hot. I just don't think that they'll be able to beat us. From the Pacers' perspective, I see the same thing because I'm saying all those things I just said about those other teams, and then the Knicks, I would say, okay, well, Julius Randle tends to not be the greatest playoff performer historically. There's things that could happen. They maybe feel that they can get hot and beat the Knicks. Injuries could happen. So I don't know why they would be selling at the deadline. unless maybe they're trying to accumulate some picks and get a couple of second round picks here and there.
Does it open any cap? Like a
That's
big
what I was
move
about to
next
say.
year?
Do you think this
Because
move? I mean,
like Buddy Hield, the last contract I saw, he was 4 years, $90 million.
Yeah,
Like,
it's nothing
gotta
substantial,
open
but
some.
no,
It's gotta
that's
open
cap space. You can get yourself a solid role player who is going to be getting paid $20 million a year. That can get you look at here's an example. A guy I think like Jalen Brunson got signed for $23 million a year.
that's true.
I think it might have been a little higher than that, but in that range.
Yeah.
So a cap space, I mean, it does get you, potentially a good player. So
I think the Pacers might see what they have in Halliburton right now and see the year that they're having. Kind of middle of the road, but I mean, definitely in the beginning of the year, they did open everyone's eyes to look at them as a team that's here to stay, and they look like they have potential for the years to come. So they might just be trying to build up.
Yeah,
Siakam's only going up too.
Mm-hmm.
They might be one piece away.
They could be.
They could be.
I think they're. I don't think they're expecting to contend this year. I think their expectations are, let's get our team into the playoffs. We know we're going to make it. They'll get a top 6 seed most likely. Let's get in there. Let's get some experience. If we win a first round series, because if they're saying to themselves, if we're in 6th seed and we're matched up against the Knicks, maybe they think that they could win that series or at least push it to 6 or 7 games. I personally, as a Knicks fan, wouldn't feel super excited to play them. So
Yeah, I don't think anybody should feel excited to play the Pacers right now.
Yeah. So
I think they could turn it on at any given point. I mean, they had that stretch with the in-season tournament where they were beating teams that nobody thought they were taking down.
Yeah. Yeah.
But throughout the other portion of the league, I think that pretty much covers everything significant. I mean, the Raptors and the Nets switched point guards essentially. Dinwiddie for Schroeder. I don't think again that has any huge.
Dinwiddie he got waived anyway. They bought him out.
Yeah, I don't think that really changes anything.
Yeah,
doesn't really help or hurt the Raptors. Nets aren't really looking to do anything this year. Celtics bringing in Xavier Tillman, just another defensive big, trading with the Grizzlies. I don't think that tremendously helps them, but I also don't think it hurts them. A little bit of a defensive force off the bench. That is the unit that lacks defense. Never hurts. He's not a guy that's going to go in there and give you 10, 15 points a game, but maybe he stops you a couple of buckets at the rim.
4.6 rebounds is not a bad stat line for a guy.
And there were 3 big names today. Everybody was waiting to see when the trigger was going to be pulled, but the Hawks, the Lakers, the Blazers all held on to their assets. DeJounte Murray not moved. Lakers didn't move D'Angelo Russell, and the Blazers held Brogdon.
Yeah. Not moving Murray is kind of ridiculous for the Hawks.
I agree, too. I think they need to blow it up. From the ground up, everything needs to go.
Not even looking. You didn't even hear his name messed around by any teams.
Yep.
You have to shop Murray if you're the Hawks.
I think that's definitely a mistake.
I think it was a mistake, but here's the thing. It was an experiment they tried where they said, let's go get another point guard next to the most ball-dominant point guard in the NBA. Trae Young, what he's good at is having the ball in his hands, saying, this is your offense. He's not giving you anything on defense. He's probably the worst defender in the NBA. And but DeJounte Murray was and is a very good defender, but he's actually, his defensive production in Atlanta has gone down from his days in San Antonio, and I think the reason for that is because he has a much bigger load on him now where he has to cover up everything for Trae Young, so he's probably dead tired when he gets down to that end, and he's still a very good player. I personally would have been very excited if the Knicks had traded for him, but I understand they were looking for 2 second-round picks, plus a young player, so I don't think anybody was willing to meet that, so they probably said, we'll just hold on to him and maybe this offseason someone will bite.
Going off that, if you're Trae Young, you look for a trade next season, do you explore? The Hawks are a dead end right now.
They definitely are. And I think Trae Young's in his window where he's reaching the prime of his career, if not there already. I mean, if he's looking to win, I don't think Atlanta's the place where he's going to do it.
Yeah, agreed.
I just don't know if he has the pull to be able to dictate like that. It's not like he's Luka, where Luka can say, which is ironic because they were traded for each other on draft day, but like Luka's a guy where he's good enough to be able to say like, oh, I want out, and you can make a big stink about it, and every team in the league is going to try to scramble something together to try to get him. Trae Young's a guy where, okay, I'll give you an example. You have the Knicks, who are a team, one of the teams with the most draft picks to trade. The Knicks aren't even going to look at that trade because they already have a point guard who's better than Trae Young. And he's not a complete liability on defense. So, and you wouldn't make sense to trade for the two of them next to each other. It just doesn't make any sense. So I don't know what teams he would really be a fit with. What I could see potentially is, and I know we were going to talk about the Lakers. The Lakers said that they're waiting for this offseason, which I think is a disgrace, to be honest.
I think so, too. They need to blow that up like yesterday.
But if they're planning on waiting for the offseason to make a move, because I know when the offseason arrives, they will have access to more first-round picks to trade for the future. If they're waiting to, let's say, I think I read that they would have access to 3 first-round picks if this offseason was here.
Why don't they have them now?
Because the season needs to end, and then they get access to more future first-round picks because you can only trade your first-round picks for a certain amount of time. So they'll have access to 2 more first-round picks, I believe. So to me, I would say maybe a team like the Lakers would say, okay, we'll trade you, whatever salary and 3 first-round picks for Trae Young. That might be the best they could get for him. I don't know who else is out there that's going to make that trade, though.
Well, I got a different angle entirely on what the Lakers need to look to do. I don't think the Lakers need to start trading to build up. I think they need to blow it up, build down, start from square one again. I don't think anything that they've done over the past 2-3 years has really shown any success after their bubble championship. I think it's obvious the Anthony Davis didn't really pay off as much as they were hoping. LeBron's no secret. He's reaching the end of his career. But I don't think they have the assets around those two to really do anything significant.
To keep LeBron. LeBron's still averaging like 27, 8, and 8.
He's a free agent coming up. He's not staying in LA. He's already made it no secret.
I don't know about that.
The thing is
LeBron staying there.
I think if he's going to continue to play in the NBA, he's going to want to win. So if the Lakers are not committed to winning, and I think they're showing this season that they're not committed to winning, meaning they're going to keep Darvin Ham, who's straight up not a good coach. They didn't want to make a trade when they're struggling to even make the play-in right now. I think it shows LeBron that they're not serious about winning. So what's the point of him sitting here and continue? Even though he's putting up fantastic numbers and he looks great, he is still phenomenal. He did drag them to a Western Conference Finals last year.
He is a well-deserved All-Star this year, undoubtedly.
If you're LeBron, where do you go? Back to Cleveland?
Miami
makes a lot of sense.
Miami's got Miami or New York. To me, those are the two that would make sense to him because he has to look at it from. He can't just go to a team, right? Like if he went to Cleveland, maybe he can go to Cleveland and they'd be able to do something. I mean, they're already a good team. You throw him in there, you never know. Small forward is their weakest position, so they could throw him in there,
Yeah.
But I don't know if he wiggles back into Cleveland.
If he goes to the Knicks, you have such a good thing with the Knicks right now, making it all the way up to the 4th seed in the East. Brunson's having himself a year.
Almost in second.
What he needs to do. OG Anunoby is fitting perfectly into his system. Now you want to bring in LeBron.
I was fully prepared to see LeBron to the Knicks. Fully prepared.
And I would love to see him go to the Knicks. He would bring so much energy to MSG, but does it blow up the system that they already have?
You have to see what happens in the playoffs this year. Because to me, when LeBron's there, and LeBron doesn't play on ball as much as he used to. That's very apparent when you watch the Lakers.
He's developed his game.
He's definitely not. It's not like that second stint in Cleveland where literally, especially after Kyrie left 2018, when the ball starts in LeBron's hands and it finishes in his hands or in the teammate that he just passed to's hands. He's able to play off ball a little bit more. I just don't know if him going to the Knicks. So then it's like, okay, we're going to have to figure out moving OG Anunoby to shooting guard, which is he really, can he really play that? Maybe.
LeBron could play the 5.
You're not gonna. He can't play the 5, but that's he hasn't played the 5 really since
Yeah,
Miami.
Prime LeBron when he was
Yeah,
an
that was Miami.
athletic beast.
And it's not
I
like
think LeBron's
he's
playing
playing.
position.
Yeah. And it's not like he's playing the 5 successfully, even in that situation. That's like, okay,
Yeah.
we have injuries. LeBron, can you go in there for a few minutes here and there and guard? Maybe, like, I don't think they were taking LeBron in Miami and throwing him at center and putting him against, Dwight Howard in his prime.
Yeah,
it was probably,
He get bullied.
Does this next team with LeBron also look at future and try to figure out the Bronny situation? Or do they not even consider that? Because
Well, the thing is,
Knicks have to be looking at Bronny. First, father, son, in New York. Like, it doesn't get much bigger than that.
I don't think anybody should be gearing up to draft Bronny. Yeah. I really don't. I mean, you look at his numbers in college. I don't know off the top of my head, but he's not performing like a first-round NBA draft pick, even remotely.
No. He also missed a bunch of the season, but
yeah.
if he comes out this year, it'll be a mistake.
I think he needs another year in college.
He does.
I think so too, for sure. I hope he develops. I hope he becomes.
He has been.
He's trying to break out of the shadow of his father, but I hope he becomes some type of LeBron prodigy. But I just don't see it from what I've seen so far in college. And I think the only reason teams would be gearing up to draft him is the fact that you have LeBron coming with him.
Yeah.
Take that what you will, but LeBron is going to be at the tail end of his career. Realistically, what's he got left in the tank?
I don't know.
We'll see.
4 more years, he might be on mark for 50,000 points.
I think that's a stretch.
He's not gonna. He's not gonna get 50,000. That's not.
Well, he's still got to be putting up these numbers for a while.
He would have to stay in the league for like 6 years and average the same amount of points he's putting up now.
We'll see. You heard it here first. Episode 1, baby.
Oh God. Okay. We're gonna get into the hot takes, but that's fine. To me,
I'm gonna clip that when he retires, just so you know.
Good.
To me, I think LeBron. I don't think he can stay there. I see potentially. Here's the teams. Okay, I see the Knicks, but I don't think the Knicks will be able to clear the cap space to sign him to a $50 million contract unless he's willing to take.
Well, that's what I'm about to say. If he's willing to take a little bit less, if he wants to win,
if he is, then here's his options to me realistically, because he has to go to a big market. He's not going to say I'm going to Minnesota.
He can't go to like Utah.
He's not going to the Timberwolves
or the Pacers or something.
So
I also don't see him going across the street to the Clippers.
I don't either, because they have too much. They have too much there. They have Kawhi. They have Paul George. They have Harden. They have too much there. What I could see Golden State.
I could too.
I could see him teaming up with Curry, because to me it's like they've both been rivals their whole career, but now they're both over the hill and they both kind of need each other to win. I like that storyline. I don't think it damages either one of their legacies.
If you're the Warriors, though, you ship Clay?
No, we're talking about free agency.
Yeah, no, this is when LeBron's signing.
We're talking about free agency here. So the Warriors are an option. I think there's really nobody else out west. Maybe Dallas, if he wants to go team up with Kyrie and Luka.
I think he's trying to stay away from the West personally.
Yeah,
I think the West is too hot. So it's too good.
Going back to the East, you got the Knicks, as we discussed. Miami wouldn't be horrible, because to me, he already knows that it's not like nothing has changed. Meaning it's the same.
Exactly.
Pat Riley's still in charge. Spoelstra's still in charge. Like,
he loves Spoelstra too.
Yeah,
and you got the extension.
That's no secret.
So he's there.
And he would fit there. You can put him alongside Jimmy Butler and Bam and Tyler Hero. They got a nice team there. I
think it would be a success.
That could be good.
Not a bad fit.
And that's really it. I don't see many other teams, unless again Cleveland. But is he going to do that? I don't know.
Donovan Mitchell.
I don't think he would do the second return to Cleveland. Yeah, I don't know if that would dampen his kind of what people view of the Cleveland LeBron.
Well, that's the problem with Miami, right? If he goes back to Miami,
it's like,
okay, like everybody knows Miami LeBron is,
is the pinnacle of a basketball player.
Yeah, so
best version of him.
Yeah.
Does he retire at Cleveland, a Cavalier though? He has to, right?
Well, if he's going to do it, this would be the time to do it, because right now they're hot. I think they're tied for second in the East right now, Cleveland, and they're
getting up there.
they could use him at small forward, and he would fit in.
They took second in the East.
So
They're a game up on the Bucks now.
Yeah, they jumped the Bucks.
So that's that's not a bad move for him. I don't know, but we'll see. He could retire too if there's nothing out there that's appealing. He could always retire and say, okay, look at this guy. He played his entire career elite, coming in and out, and then at the end of his career at 39 years old, he's still averaging 27 points or whatever he is.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
One hell of a send off.
Yeah,
the number he's putting up, genuinely unreal.
Yeah,
dude, that's what I'm saying. 50,000.
He's not doing 50,000.
5 years. People were saying that 5 years ago that he's done. Look at him.
Okay, buddy.
I don't know. What HGH?
You know who might be done? You know who might be done though is Embiid. I'm sick of Embiid getting hurt year in, year out. Ridiculous.
I agree. The most recent injury that he's faced now, it's not a small one by any stretch of the word. Torn meniscus. That's definitely something to cause for concern.
Yeah.
He's underwent surgery. He's going to be reevaluated in 4 weeks. I don't know how legitimate that 4 weeks is. To me, that seems very short. Realistically, I'd be looking at something more like 6, 8 weeks. 6 is pushing it, but if they need him back, they're going to try and bring him back. But possible playoff return, the Sixers are going to take a hit from this. They're going to be falling in the seeding. This is big for the Sixers. This ruins their year.
Is this a point in time where you look and you go, Embiid's an MVP player for half the year, and you try to look and you start talking to people and think about shipping him? Because you're only getting him.
People's eyes would light up at the chance to take Embiid from the Sixers. It's a gamble, but it's a really good gamble.
The Knicks.
Look at the Knicks.
The Knicks have 8 first-round picks to trade. Nobody in the NBA. Maybe I think the Thunder could match that, but again, the Sixers don't care. The Sixers will trade him to whatever team they can get the most value from. But if they respect Embiid, sometimes teams will say, okay, well, we want to keep in good standing with the NBA and the other players. We'll send this guy to his preferred destination if we can get a good deal. And the Knicks can give a good deal. You can probably get...
The Knicks give a great deal.
But it's just first-round picks. The Knicks don't have the young players to throw in. It'd probably look something like...
We already touched on it a little bit earlier in the show. Are the Sixers already showing the white flag with the trade deadline? If they are really looking to rebuild, I think the Knicks is a great match for them.
Yeah.
How many first-round picks is too many first-round picks for Embiid?
Well, I think the most first-round picks for a single player was for Rudy Gobert for 2 summers ago. No, Rudy Gobert, I believe, got 5.
That's ridiculous.
And that was seen as an overpay. Now it's kind of paid off.
I'd say that's too many.
But Durant did go for 4. Plus Mikal Bridges, who right now in the NBA would go for probably 3.
4 seems reasonable, especially for a player that caliber, that age. I know he's a gamble coming off. Anytime you tear something, tendon, ligament, whatever it is, there's a big question mark over your head coming in when you come back.
He's been hurt every year he's been in the league.
Yeah.
You can't.
It's always something else.
As a Knicks team right now, you can't give up first round.
I disagree. I think the Knicks are in a win now mentality. I don't think they have the time to be like, can we keep this going for 4 or 5 years?
You're taking the risk now. You're saying, are we winning in 2024? Are we winning in 2025?
I see the Knicks have a 2-3 year window where they can legitimately do it. Mainly because I also think the East is pretty weak right now. It's not just a matter of can the Knicks build up enough to get to the championship. Are the teams around the Knicks in the East also going to stay low? Are they not going to be doing enough to really reach that next level? I don't think that's the case either. I think everyone else is going to be building up.
It's worth it then, I guess, if they take Embiid for 1 year to make the finals.
To me, the thing is, so obviously when it comes to making a trade for a super, we don't have that many comparisons to make for a trade for an MVP in their prime. The closest thing we have is we have Kevin Durant last season, and he went for 4 first-round picks and Mikal Bridges, who Mikal Bridges right now would go for probably, I think the Nets turned down an offer of 3 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges this deadline. So
that's insane.
and he's worth, I would say, about 3 first-round picks, Mikal Bridges. I would say that's what you would have to pay.
Yeah, that's a
to be
solid
fair
deal.
to get him. So Kevin Durant post Achilles, 34 or 35-year-old Kevin Durant went for the equivalent, I would say, of 6 or 7 first-round picks.
It was the same type of gamble, too. I mean, he's coming off a big-time injury as well.
So if the Knicks say we're going to empty out our wallets on Embiid and, let's say, put 6 picks together,
insane.
6 would be crazy.
But they don't have, the thing is, the Knicks don't have any they don't have the young value to add. Like, it's not like before where they could say, we're going to give you quickly RJ Barrett, Grimes, Obi Toppin, and 3 first-round picks. Now it's, okay, I don't have any of these guys to give you. They have Deuce McBride, and, I mean, I don't know if anyone would consider.
Nothing that's eye-opening.
Yeah.
His injury history has to count for something.
It does, though. I mean, but you see in the previous Durant trade, it doesn't really mean something. Because you could say, oh, maybe this, maybe that, as much as you want, but when it comes down to it,
I would rather give an extra pick for Mikal Bridges, knowing he's going to give you day in, day out.
I am fully on board with Mikal Bridges to the Knicks.
I
think that makes sense to them too.
And trying to get Embiid for maybe half the season. He's not even up for any awards now.
I know. That's another big thing too.
Every year he's in the league.
I'm glad the NBA brought that in, where you can't win any big awards if you haven't played enough. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
It has to do with the load management. You're a pro athlete. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Maybe no load management.
That's the thing.
I got a lot of takes with that too.
Yeah, I mean, let's go into it.
Against load management. Yep. Why not?
Terrible for managers to be like, oh, he needs rest. No, he doesn't. He's a pro athlete. You're getting paid millions of dollars. Go out there and give the fans what they want.
I also think playing day in and day out is good for a player. It builds them up. It builds the stamina that they need to endure an entire season, no matter if you're looking at an 82-game NBA season, 162-game MLB season. Whatever the length is, I think you need to build up that stamina to be a day in and day out player. I don't think it's right sitting down. I think it screws up the players and also the fans. I mean, you come to see your favorite player. Maybe he's from out of town, from across the country. You don't get to see him every day, and all of a sudden he's just sitting. I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think, and that's a big thing. I know it's actually Kobe said it himself about load management. He's like, I could never sit out a game. He's like, because to me, I think about myself, like trying, like as a little kid, being like, oh, I'm gonna go get tickets, and I'm definitely paraphrasing here. And maybe Kobe didn't say this, but I think Kobe did say it.
He did. It was Kobe.
And he was like, I think about like myself, like, okay, I finally got tickets to go see, Magic or Michael.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, finally we can go. And then it's like, oh, what? He's not playing because he decided not to, or because it's like, and like they'll just make up fake injuries. And they did a study recently that came out that showed that load management wasn't effective in preventing injuries. And to be honest, it's kind of true, because you look at injuries in the NBA. I mean, in the 90s and the 2000s, if anything, the technology's gotten better, and I see players getting injured more now.
You see it throughout all sports.
More people are worrying more about the little things because they have the technology to figure it out.
I completely agree.
Back then, when they didn't have it, they weren't finding it, so they're like, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Maybe you're sore, ice it, rest, go in the next day. It'll be a little sore again, but over time it'll be fine. Yeah. You got to deal with it.
I think even more so than the NBA, I think you see load management really hurting players more so in the MLB.
Yeah.
You're seeing Tommy John like you've never seen it before. And I think that's this big change in regimen of how often they're throwing, how many bullpens they're throwing, how many pitches they're allowed to throw in a start, which I think is absolutely ridiculous.
That's crazy. I saw Nolan Ryan's stat today, actually.
Nolan Ryan's ridiculous. But you look at any of his stats.
He threw 150 pitches, and then three days later was his next start. He threw 165.
It's healthy to keep playing. It builds up that stamina that you need as a professional athlete to keep playing.
It's literally your job. You have an off season.
It is.
You're getting paid millions of dollars to play a kid's sport. Figure it out.
Yeah,
I'm completely with you.
And I think it has been effective, and and the results are speaking for themselves. I mean, Exhibit A, the Clippers, Right now, the Clippers are doing great because Kawhi's not sitting every game.
Exactly.
He's playing, and they're doing well. I mean, if he was putting up, I think, maybe better numbers, he'd probably be the runaway MVP. But, the Clippers are doing very well, and they're not resting players anymore like they used to, where it would be, Kawhi sits half the year because he doesn't care about the regular season, and then once we get to the playoffs, oh, wait, we don't have experience, and we just got bounced by this team that has taken the regular season seriously and is ready for this moment.
That's a good point you make right there. It's team chemistry as well. You lose a game with one of your star players, that flow that you have going it's gone.
Yeah.
I looked up Kawhi's stats just now. 24, 6 and 4, 53% and 46 from 3. I mean,
he's a beast. He's a defensive menace too.
And he's an animal on defense.
If you're playing every game with those numbers, that only breeds success.
No, I know. That's what it's all about.
That's what they needed, the Clippers. I think they needed to just start not doing this anymore, because you look at the last couple of years for them, they've always been middle of the road in the regular season because they'll make the playoffs because they're good enough to win those games, and they always had a very good roster, but they can never get to like those top seeds, which when you have home court advantage in a playoff series, that does help a little bit. So
people really overlook those top seeds. The red season matters,
and you're having an easier matchup in the first round as opposed to being
exactly
matched up. Let's say you're the 7th seed and you're matched up with the Nuggets in the first round. Instead, you're the 2nd seed and you're matched up with, a team that's not as good,
Is there any truth? Is there any truth though to playing in the play-in, so you kind of like continue playing instead of like essentially getting like a 2 bye or something?
I don't think it has the same effect as like the MLB, because I see what you're getting at.
The higher seed is easily way more important in basketball. MLB, I agree. That you play.
MLB, you want to be rolling going into it. You don't want that big break that can just offset everything, because baseball is so mental. But for basketball, it's very important, especially this is why higher seeds are very important. If you do well in that first series, say you win it 4-0, 4-1, you have a break. Your body needs a rest in the playoffs. It's very intensive on these guys.
Yeah. And then not in a load management way, just in a actual break way. Not like, and it's also I think like a mental. It has to have a mental edge too, in some ways. Load management, to say like, I'm not playing today just because I'm kind of tired, and then my teammates are going out and they're playing and they're watching you and saying, why? Okay, so I have to go out there and I have to play 82 games. But this guy, just because he's the star, he doesn't have to do that, and we're losing those games that he's not playing. So
it would be the opposite.
No, but with that too, I mean, in the playoffs, especially just the difference between the playoffs and the regular season, it's a different caliber of basketball for these players as well.
Yeah.
Like, you have starters who are typically going out there giving you 30-ish minutes a game. All of a sudden, they're playing 40, 41 minutes a game. And they're also giving it 100% from opening tip to that final buzzer. They're not taking any plays off in the middle, trying to catch a breather. It's playoff basketball. It's time to show out.
Yeah.
You can tell when people just start to chuck in the regular season just because they're a little winded. Playoffs, you don't see that ever.
Yeah.
No, you don't. It's a different caliber of basketball.
I only used to watch the playoffs.
Welcome to the league, buddy.
Yeah, no, I think it's a bit of a mistake. So, but speaking of the West and the Clippers, what do you guys think? What's going on there? You got 4 teams really right now battling for the 1 seed. I think everybody's separated by a game. You got the
West is very scary.
The Nuggets, obviously, everybody knows they're legit. You get the Clippers, as we mentioned, and then the Timberwolves and the Thunder have kind of come out of nowhere.
Yeah, so I mean, right now going into tonight, you got a 3-way tie for first place. You got the Thunder, you got the Timberwolves, and you got the Nuggets. Clippers only a half game out. We've already touched on them. We think they're pretty legit. They're doing the right things, making the right moves, winning basketball games. Yeah. I don't think it's any secret that the Nuggets have already proven themselves coming off of last year. Jokic is an absolute freak show of an NBA player. Yeah. I don't think the league has ever seen anything quite like him. But that really just leaves the 2 young teams who I really think are up for grabs. the Thunder and the Timberwolves. I
Do the
mean,
Thunder
they don't have a
have
lot
enough?
of playoff experience.
Is Shea
Do the Thunder have enough?
enough? Is one guy enough?
They're not very deep.
Well, they just made a
Shea is
move
having an
today for
electric year.
Gordon Hayward, which is nice
They
for
did.
them.
That's going to be pretty big for them. It's
Veteran
going to give them
presence,
another
but-
shooting option. But again, injuries come into question. I mean, Gordon
with
Hayward's
him.
been injured for what, the
A
past
lot. Yeah.
month? Past month and a half. I mean,
historically, yeah.
his stint on the Celtics, if you can even call it that. I mean, he barely played with them. Will he stay healthy? Do they have enough depth? And then also, Shea hasn't had the stage to himself in the playoffs yet. We don't really know what he's going to look like. Is he going to fold? Is he going to shine? I'm excited to see it. I think
The
he's
defense
one hell of a
is
basketball player.
The defense is different in the playoffs, and Shea's gonna have to adapt hard if you want.
I agree.
Games.
No, I totally agree. But the Timberwolves are another young basketball team. I mean, they had a little bit of a playoff stint last year.
They got the experience.
2 years ago, were they in there 2 years ago?
They missed 1 year. I know they've been bouncing in and out of the play-in and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know they've kind of been there over the past few years, but I think they're still too young to tell whether or not they're actually legit. I mean, they're beating teams like they beat the Celtics very early on in the year. They can definitely win these games. It's just a matter of, can they win them when it counts, and can they win 4 out of 7?
And
Like you said earlier, though, I think the Timberwolves have the depth. So if it was between the Timberwolves and the Thunder, I'm taking Minnesota.
yeah,
I agree.
I would
I
put
agree.
money on Minnesota over them.
I agree. I think going into the playoffs, it's hard to just put the weight on one guy. Few players have been able to do it, and that's how you become a true great. That's how you become a true great. I mean, when the weight's put on you, you shine and you fully capture the moment. But Shea's young. It's going to be really fun to follow his career for the coming years.
to me, I like Minnesota better than OKC in this situation, but because I just feel like overall they have a lot more playoff experience. You know, Karl Anthony Towns has been there a few times. Rudy Gobert has been there a decent bit, but the thing about them is I think they're all food for the Nuggets. I'm not gonna lie, or the Clippers too. I think the Nugget. I mean, Gobert has consistently been a problem in the playoffs in his entire career. When he was in Utah, I mean, he would just make them lose playoff series because he becomes unplayable on offense, and teams figure out in a 7-game series how to get around what he does good, which is you're going to take him away from the basket in a series, let's say against the Nuggets. He's going to have to guard Jokic on the perimeter, which he can do well, but then that just opens up the paint for everybody else, and then it's like, who's down there? Cat, who,
I also don't think Gobert has his head screwed on straight. I think you sometimes see in these big moments, he just loses it, and it starts spiraling further and further and further away from him. I think that's a huge thing in the playoffs, especially with tensions as high as they are.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's got it.
Their nightmare matchup in the playoffs would be the Clippers, because there's no way they're guarding Kawhi, Harden, and PG.
Well, they have a lot of weapons, the Clippers, but the Clippers to me
better.
will win an NBA championship unless they beat themselves. To me, they're that good. They're that talented, and that's been their situation in this entire Kawhi era.
Who's their big role player?
The Clippers?
With Clippers?
Yeah.
Well, they have a bunch of role players. I mean, they have a really deep team. You can just, go take a look. But they're a deep roster, but now they have Westbrook coming off the bench, who I think
that was the name I was thinking.
Oh, you're looking for Westbrook. Okay. So they have Westbrook coming off the
person.
bench, who's doing great in that role. I think he's averaging like 11, 5, and 5, which is good for him.
Speaking of Westbrook, I'm so happy for him. He got way too much hate on the Lakers. Everything was put on him when that really wasn't the nature of what was going on in LA. I don't think it's all on Westbrook not performing.
Look at how
there were
doing
so many
now.
other issues around it. Exactly. He left, and they're kind of in the same boat, if not worse.
Yeah, I mean, they improved when he got traded last year.
Except, did you see PJ Tucker's Instagram today?
Yeah, he's been complaining he wants out.
He wants out of
but he that is what it is. He's 38 years old. All he can do really is just play
It just
defense.
seems like a rational thought right now.
This team is really deep. Brandon Boston, they got Terrence Mann, Mason Plumlee, Norman Powell.
Yeah, they have a
Oh,
good
they
team.
got Plumlee still.
Yeah, they have a good team.
Luka Zubac.
Plumlee is one of the best role players in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, they have a good team. To me, the only team that can beat them is themselves. Because when they're on, I don't think there's going into a playoff series. I think maybe minus the Celtics, I don't think there's a team in the NBA that is more talented than them. Who's more talented when you're throwing out, James Harden, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. That's
if all of them are on for one night, that's a scary team to play.
Harden, Paul, and Westbrook would have to know their role with Kawhi in the playoffs.
The thing is, Harden's been having the ball in his hands. That's how they've been doing it. They've been playing Harden.
And it's working.
It's working, and it did work for the 76ers a lot last year, too. But you have to look. Is what's going to happen with the 76ers last year in the playoffs going to happen to the Clippers, where you have Harden one game going off for 40 points, hitting step back clutch threes and everything, and then the next game he's shooting
all
3
of a sudden
for 15.
That's how to play basketball.
You can't have that.
I said it with Gobert. I just said it with Gobert. I think the same thing with Harden. He's one of those guys where whether or not he's going to have that right mentality for a playoff basketball game, any given night is up in the air. I don't think he's consistently day in, day out locked in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think with Westbrook, Paul George, and Kawhi, he might not have to do as much as he might not have to drop 40 points a game.
I agree.
He can do 17 and 12 with like 8 rebounds.
But I mean, if you're looking at what he did in Philly, he's got Maxey and Embiid next to him.
And Embiid did not perform.
Pressure.
And he was hurt.
Didn't have that pressure. That's true.
Oh,
but
Embiid hurt?
Crazy concept, but really hard to believe. But I mean, it's no secret that these guys are probably going to be the top 4 seeds in the West. Do you guys see an early out from any of them in the playoffs potentially?
If the Thunder don't
you think any of these drop the ball in first round?
If the Thunder don't get the 1 seed, they're the most likely team. Because say the Lakers,
I kind of agree.
Say the Lakers make a push for the playoffs, they're the 7 seed. Now you're taking playoff Lakers against an unexperienced OKC.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Lakers, and it's not even going to be close.
It's the weird thing about the West right now is, yes, you have these 4 powerhouse teams sitting on top, separated from the pack. But the bottom 4 teams are very experienced playoff teams. I mean, you have the Suns with Kevin Durant, Booker. They've been there.
Beal.
Pelicans, they don't really scare me too much. A lot is just
when they're healthy,
depending
they're nice,
on health for them. Exactly. A lot's dependent on health, and when health is a question entering the playoffs, it can get a little dicey.
Yeah.
The Kings, last year, light the beam.
Yeah.
I mean, they've shown that they can be scary in the playoffs. Then you got the Mavericks. Any given day, I mean, Luka and Kyrie can come in and just light it up.
And they're both known playoff
And then
performers.
you can't count out the Lakers. You can't count out the Lakers. I mean, as rough as a year that they're having, if they do slip in there, LeBron James come playoff time, who knows?
If it's 1-8 right now, for the matchups, you take an OKC or Dallas in 7 games.
I think that's a 7-game series.
I'm taking Dallas.
I'm taking Dallas
because
too.
To me,
I take Dallas.
They've been there.
I think, the big advantage to OKC always is they will have the best player on the floor almost every night.
Yes.
Dallas is the one time where maybe they don't have the best player on the floor there. Shea and Luka are close, but Luka, I know he's putting up more points. He's more assists, more rebounds, so he's a better offensive player.
He's a more rounded player, yeah.
And we know for a fact that we've seen Luka consistently in the playoffs step up. He's a great player.
Even Kyrie.
Kyrie is one of the. Kyrie is the owner to me of like the clutchest shot in NBA history, NBA Finals history. Yep. So to me, Kyrie is a great player for that. So to me, you're gonna look at that series and it's like, okay, Dallas has the best player and the third best player on the floor. Obviously, I think OKC has a better. Together. Yeah, obviously, I think OKC has better role players with Chet and Josh Giddey.
Besides Denver wiping the floor against New Orleans, the other 2 matchups I think would be crazy. It would be Minnesota, Sacramento, and
I think that'd be a really fun series to watch.
And Clippers, Suns.
I hope the Kings get matched up with either the Thunder or the Timberwolves, one of the younger teams, because both of them are relatively new to the playoff atmosphere. Yeah. I think that would be a really fun series to watch.
Yeah, that would be
But then,
awesome.
I mean, is you got Clippers Suns. That's just the veterans of the early 2010s just going at it in the playoffs. I mean, these are like the people that we all grew up watching: Harden, Kawhi, Paul
Durant,
George,
Westbrook.
Kevin Durant.
And then you got Durant versus Westbrook in the playoffs too.
And Harden.
That's true too.
Durant versus Westbrook and Harden.
That's a fun series.
It would be the original Thunder core.
There's a lot of actual former teammates. You even had Westbrook and Beal. They were teammates in Washington for 1 year.
That's true too. Yeah.
You know, you got. I mean, I don't think there's anybody on the Clippers that played with the Suns with Booker, but you know, we'll see. That would be a fun series. I actually would. I think that'd be the best series in the first round.
The East.
No, I think the West is really going to be a dogfight come playoff time.
Yeah.
The East are
I know the top four. I know the top four in the West are really separated from the rest of the pack in the
But
West.
they're not playoff wise.
They're not. Come playoff time, yeah, it's going to be a completely different brand of basketball. It's going to be fun to watch.
Your next seed at the 9 seed is the Lakers. You can't
exactly. And I mean, they get the playoff. They get the play-in game. They get a chance.
They get one shot or two. They have to win 2 games.
Shot. They would have to win 2 games. Yeah,
it's going to be tough
unless they somehow scrap up their way to 7 or 8 seed. But
I don't think they are.
Looking at
I don't think so either.
Looking at this right now, the West has much more exciting games, in my opinion, than the Eastern Conference.
I do too. It's no secret that the East is weak, but the East does have their dogs. I mean, it's no secret right now. The hottest team in the NBA is the New York Knicks. I never thought that they would come where I'd be able to say that. Knicks went 9 in a row. Of all teams, LeBron James and the Lakers come into MSG in their own building and put a stop to their winning streak. But, I mean, they made the right moves at the deadline. They brought in Anunoby. Are these guys contenders? I mean, they're borderline slipping into the 2 seed. They're getting out of the 2 seed.
Before the Anunoby injury news, I think they could have easily made a push for the 2, given the Celtics some problems, maybe put a little bit of pressure, a little bit. Maybe not close. They may not have jumped them, but it would have been close enough where the Celtics had to look and be like, hey, New York's coming.
Well, we're not going to rest players.
I don't think anybody's topping the Celtics in terms of seeding in the regular season.
I agree.
But I think the secret to how the Knicks are going to get to the finals, if it does happen, what a miracle that would be. But if it does happen, I think the trick for them is avoiding the Boston Celtics for as long as possible in the playoffs. I mean, being a Celtics fan myself, I've seen the deeper that the Celtics go in the playoffs, the more of a headache you get watching a game as a Celtics fan. They just fold under the pressure time and time again. And it's just a matter of they're a young team. Yes, they've kind of started to get there and they've gotten their experience, but they still have room to slip up. I think the earlier that you face them, the scarier a team that the Celtics are.
Okay, thinking the Celtics, right now, they'd be matched up against Orlando round 1.
I think
it's a wipe.
I think it's a wash.
Yes.
I don't think it's a sweep. Orlando might take a game.
If Miami beats Cleveland, Miami goes into Boston.
I don't see Miami beating Cleveland this year.
That would be a headache.
Well,
Celtics just forget how to play basketball when they play the Heat. I genuinely can't tell you why it happens. You look at the matchups, the Celtics should roll them. I mean, other than Butler.
30 points one game.
Exactly. I mean, other than Butler, they match up perfectly to just absolutely roll them in 5-ish games. But for some reason, they just forget how to play basketball.
Yeah, it'll go.
It's a head case.
It would go 6 at least.
At least, and then it gets scary.
To me, my view on the Knicks' path to getting to the finals, or whatever. To me, that there is a very specific path that I think works best for them, and that means they have to be second or third in the East. And I think third, they might actually have a better shot, and I'll tell you why. If you ask me my opinion, I think I would rather play the Pacers in the second round than the Heat in the first round.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm sorry, in the first round. I'd rather play the Pacers because, to me, I think we could beat the Pacers in a grueling 6 or 7 game series. Like, that's what I agree. The Heat, I don't know if I can beat the Heat. They're very well coached. They step up.
Wait, they wouldn't play the Heat. Right now,
if the Knicks are second, but that's right now. I'm talking about hypothetically, if the Heat are 8th and they're in a play-in, in the play-in tournament, they're going to try to win that game and get to 7th. So the second seed, Cleveland, might be matched up with Miami in the first round, and you don't really want that. That's not an ideal. That's like the worst case scenario, and nobody wants to be facing them in the first round. I'd rather face the Pacers in the first round and move on, and then face the winner of Cleveland Miami second round. I think if you're at that stage, then okay, we'll have to take on the Heat. I think we should be favored to win that series. I don't think the Heat are.
I agree.
You never know, but Cleveland, I think we would be, and then once you get to the conference finals, we're in a dogfight with the Celtics. I personally still wouldn't pick the Knicks to beat the Celtics simply on the fact of the Celtics having Porzingis, who's able to take Isaiah Hardenstein and Mitchell Robinson out of the paint, which that's a huge thing for the Knicks. But you never know with Porzingis' injury history, because it's not like, playing the Bucks, right, where it's like, okay, we're going to leave Brook Lopez out on the perimeter. Brook Lopez is a really good stretch 5, but Brook Lopez isn't a guy who's going to be dropping 30, which Porzingis could do easily, and that's what would make you lose a game. So to me, he's the most dangerous stretch 5 in the NBA. I think you put him out there, and it changes everything. But again, very injury prone. So you get there to the conference finals, you never know what could happen. If Porzingis, gets nicked up, you never know what could happen. Then you go to the finals, and the Knicks have played very well against the Nuggets the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
The last 2 seasons, the Knicks, I think, are 3-0 against the Nuggets. They match up very well with them, So
the Knicks do a very good job of playing up to their competition.
You're taking the Nuggets out of the West this year? It's still there. It's there.
No, it's just they were there last year.
I think it's theirs to lose. That's my opinion.
I agree. I think people need to prove that they can stop Jokic and Murray.
Yeah.
They're a powerhouse team. I mean, like I said, Jokic is just an absolute freak of nature that the NBA has never really seen. It's how do you stop that?
I would love to see Durant be Durant and try to take over in the playoffs. It's just, I wish.
You think the Suns could get there?
I don't see it happening, but if you have Booker, Beal, and if Durant plays to where he could, prime score.
Yeah.
That's the big question always with Durant, though. Is he going to play to his capacity?
Durant, an exciting matchup.
Durant to me is very capable of going off, and in any series, I think he'll, unless they're playing the Nuggets, I think he would probably be the best player on the floor at any point. And the thing is this. Is he going to get his 30 points? Yeah, probably. Is Devin Booker going to really step up? I don't know, because Devin Booker, to me, I've noticed him in the playoffs recently, not really, he dips down. He doesn't do as well.
He's not that guy.
He has had moments in the playoffs. Like, he did go to the finals.
I feel like every player of that caliber has had their moments in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You would have to play like Jaylen Brown does to Tatum. If Tatum drops 35, Brown's got 24.
Yeah,
I agree completely.
But they might need more because they're not a deep team.
They also
15.
I mean, use the Celtics as an example, though. I mean, on a night like that, Tatum's got 34, Brown's got 22. You got Drew Holiday with like 14, Porzingis with 20, and then White with 14, 15. They don't have those other 3 people that are giving you those type of numbers. I don't think.
Booker and Beal would have to give you high 20s if Durant's dropping 36 for you to win.
Yeah.
They don't have the depth. They need that.
It's going to be tough for them.
So
it's going to be tough for them.
Especially if they're matched up with the Clippers in the first round. But, I mean, again, a lot of things change between here and the rest of the season. But, as things stand right now, that would be a tough matchup for them, for sure. Especially they're going to throw Kawhi. They can throw Kawhi and Paul George both on Durant. Obviously nobody. There's not a player in NBA history who's stopping Kevin Durant, on defense. But you can do a good job slowing him down, getting it. Maybe instead of him dropping 40, maybe he'll drop 28 or 26.
Yep.
You got to make him earn his points.
Yeah. Tire him
down. To
steer
us back on the track, away from the Suns talk here, because this is our little Knicks bit.
Yeah.
I think Brunson right now is. I think he's the best player in basketball, and I don't think there's really any question about it. It's a shame you had the magical Mr. Tom Thibodeau overplaying him at the end of a game, and he leaves the game with an ankle injury. But, he's absolutely on fire. He's hitting the 30-point mark basically every night. over the past 2 weeks. He's shooting 53% from the field, 33, 7, and 4 over his last 2 weeks. I mean, these are unreal numbers that he's putting up. Randall's been out, and this man has just absolutely stepped up more than you could have asked.
Well-deserved All-Star.
Well deserved.
He should have been a starter, to be honest. Damian Lillard had no business being an All-Star starter over Jalen.
Well, I think in the All-Star talk, I think we got a lot of snubs here.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple people that you can point to. Maybe they were missed out. I mean, especially it falls on Adam Silver as well. I mean, you had two guys, well deserved. It was Randall and Embiid going down. Silver gets to point the finger and pick whoever he wants coming into the All-Star game. I think the first guy you look at that was overlooked is Butler.
Yeah.
I mean,
his stats for an All-Star is crazy.
His stats don't lie. 22, 5 and 4.
It's not just stats.
It's efficiency. It's efficiency too.
Take
for a guy who takes as many shots
out of the equation. This is a guy that single-handedly, obviously he had good role players. He was the best player on a team that went to the NBA Finals last season.
Yes.
Beating the
and
Bucks,
you leave him out.
beating the Celtics, beating the Knicks, all good teams that we're talking about. He beat all these teams. To say he's not an all-star to me is just ridiculous. And he has better numbers than Scottie Barnes. I'm not going to argue against Trae Young because Trae Young's averaging like 28 and 11.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's arguing.
I'm not arguing against Trae Young. I thought he should have been there. But to me, Scottie Barnes, I don't think there's not a single thing at the game of basketball that Scottie Barnes does better than Jimmy Butler. And he doesn't have anything better statistically than him either.
It's crazy how for all-star voting that it goes like there's the numbers and then there's the eye test where you're like Jimmy Butler.
Yes.
Oh yeah, he's an all-star. Like, is it really that hard? No, not really. Then you look and he has the numbers. Why isn't he in? But then people try to overcomplicate all-stars so much in every sport too, where it's like you can just look and be like, oh yeah, LeBron. Yeah, he's an all-star.
Yeah.
Look at Kawhi. Oh yeah, he's an all-star. You look at Bradley Beal. No, he's a solid role player. Maybe fringe, but just by name you could see it. Scottie Barnes.
No, I mean, outside of the fact of who was snubbed, I think it's kind of the point that you're getting at there. It's more so, did Scottie Barnes deserve this spot? I mean,
no.
He's on the Raptors. He's not on a standout team. They're not even in the playoff picture right now.
No, and to me, Siakam.
Okay, wait. All-Star. That's an individual award here.
No, I agree that the All-Star is an individual award, but how you carry your team, it puts it in the larger picture of things here. It's are you also performing as an individual, but are you also performing in a way that helps you win basketball games? Because more than anything, that's all that matters. You have to win basketball games to win an NBA Finals.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like the common sense pick there, if you're going to take Scottie Barnes, right? Because this was for the entire season. I would take his former teammate Siakam over him. Siakam was on the Raptors for the first 30-something games of the season. Now he's on the Pacers.
Yep.
He had better numbers across the board. To me, he was obviously the best player in Toronto when he was there. To me, when you take Scottie Barnes or punishing Siakam because of an injury, not an injury, because of a trade, that to me, that's just a stupid move. I understand Adam Silver is making this pick, and I understand when you put a player in the All-Star game, that does raise their popularity, and I understand they look at Scottie Barnes as a guy, he's in his third season. They look at him as a guy, maybe he'll be
he's young and they want to push him.
Star for the future.
Do you like Do you like that Silver has that final say for reserve? But it's the commissioner. Do you agree with that?
I mean, how else are you going to do it? Everybody else already cast their vote, and what do you put it back on the coaches to try and get someone in?
To me, you could do that all day. You have to sometimes because sometimes there could be an injury. You have to look at the rule in general. There could be an injury the day before an All-Star game, and a guy has to get pulled out, and then they'll be like, okay, well, we need to name somebody, and the commissioner going to just name someone quickly.
I think you vote and then secret, like, not released
backups. You're saying
you're saying in the initial round that goes out.
In the initial round, you have like if the coaches vote for a part of that, have the coaches vote for backups.
Like 5 reserves.
5 reserves, and then you don't.
That's not a bad
release
idea,
that- you
honestly.
Don't release that number.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea at all. But I mean, also, I think there's two other snubs that we're talking about here. Obviously, Porzingis is one of them. I mean, being arguably, the third scoring option roughly on the best team in the East, putting up numbers 27-2, shooting 52% from the field. I mean, 35% from three, not a terrible number for a stretch five. I think he's having one hell of a year. He's coming back from an injury. He's performing. He's showing out. Like you said, star status, push him to the All-Star game. Bring this guy back to the face, or not the face, but one of the faces of the NBA. You're on the best team in basketball. You're one of the best players in the best team in basketball, and you seem to have been the missing piece for what the Celtics were actually missing in the past few years. I think he definitely deserves a nod at least. I think he was overlooked.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Porzingis is I get that. Like, and to me, you have to look at historically, right? A team like the Celtics, who is, I think, when you look at the regular season and you look at records and stuff, they are the dominant team in the NBA right now. They're the powerhouse. And a lot of the times when you have a top seed in the NBA, they'll get all-stars, multiple all-stars based off of team record. Perfect example.
Just because they're the top team.
Just because they're the top team. Perfect example, 2015. The Atlanta Hawks were the 1 seed, and they got 4 all-stars. You had Kyle Korver being an all-star who was a straight-up role player. You know, were there guys in the NBA that were putting up better numbers than him? Yeah. But, you know,
and just to bounce
how he impacted that.
Just to bounce right off that, you talk about role players, you talk about the best player in the league, or the best team in the league. The man that I think they overlooked way too quickly is the very beautiful, the very handsome, and very now bald Derek White. I'm a big proprietor of, if a guy that is not normally in the headlines, a guy that's not making a lot of noise for his whole career, if he starts doing something like he's doing this year, because he's having a phenomenal year, he's one of the most reliable options in the Celtics. He's arguably the 5th option. I mean, you got Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, Holiday. He's on par with Holiday, so 4th or 5th option. He's putting up 16, 4, and 5 behind everybody just mentioned. Tatum, Brown, Porzingis. I think he's having a phenomenal year. It's something like, will you see this again from him? Will he have another chance to get to this status where he has a window to reach the All-Star game? I think it would be a huge accomplishment for him. I think it's well-deserved. I think he's doing all the right things, and I hope this is something that we see consistently from him for the years to come.
We're talking about All-Star, not most improved, right?
We're not.
Sure.
We're not. But like I said, I'm a big proprietor of, Paul's saying, the Atlanta Hawks, way back when, Kyle Korver makes the All-Star game. I'm pretty sure Derek White's numbers blow Kyle Korver's out of the water. I think he was way overlooked.
And man, Korver was knocking down threes like I have never seen in my life that season.
That's true.
Who are you putting?
That's true.
Okay. Think Derek White deserves to be in or even looked at? Fine.
Who are you going to ask me to take out?
Yes, I'm going to. And the answer is going to be no one. Because I'm still taking Scotty Barnes
for White. I'm taking Scotty Barnes out.
I'm taking Scotty Barnes out for Jimmy Butler.
I'm taking Scotty Barnes out for any of the 4 that we've mentioned. Derek White,
Derek White's not an all-star.
Siakam, and Butler.
He's a very good role player. He's not an all-star.
I agree with Jake. I think I would take Barnes out for any of those 3 players except for Derek White.
Would you put?
I'm not saying he's a lock of an all-star.
What is it? A participation trophy? I mean,
is RJ
that's basically
the fan vote. I mean, that's kind of how it is some years.
Wait. You're putting RJ Barrett in as an all-star? Pretty much same stats. Pretty much same role. So make that face.
RJ, I think, is better stats.
It's not same stats. It's not same role.
Perfect, Paul.
It's not. I think RJ is averaging like 20. Is he a reliable option on the best team in basketball? No. He was traded from one of the hottest teams in the East, who got hot after they moved him.
Yeah, no, RJ is a problem, but I understand the point of like a role player. But like,
he's not playing that same type of role.
To me, I look at it as he's a role player. Jimmy Butler is an all-star.
Yes, I would agree.
You know,
I would take Butler over White. I just think White deserves the nod at least.
I think
this
he
season
should. I like the
done.
idea of saying. I think your point is we should be having this discussion.
Yes, more so
Even though
than him. I think he deserves to be in this discussion.
In terms of March Madness basketball, White's first 4 out.
Oof.
Get him out.
No.
Yes.
White is not a first 4 out. He deserves the noise. He deserves the buzz.
He deserds what
He's
we're doing
been
right
phenomenal
now.
this year.
He deserves what we're doing right now.
Yes.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Yes.
That's bad word. No.
He's up from his stats last year. He's got 16 points over his 12. He's got 4 rebounds over his 3.
Most improved. So give him most improved. I'll agree with you on that. He improved.
It's going to be tough for him to add that because, I mean, most improved, you usually see like a 6th man entering a starting role. But I would like to just give the nod to him.
Yeah, to me, I think historically speaking, there would have been a lot of seasons where he would have made the All-Star team. That's a fact.
I agree, too.
But the problem with it is right now, this season, the NBA is very, very deep talent-wise, and you can't really, the days of putting a role player on a good team in the All-Star game are over. It's not, those days are just gone.
I'm with you there.
There's too many good players.
I'm with you there.
Going back to the Hawks, that team that had 4, was Clint Capella one of those people?
I don't believe so.
Was he not?
I don't remember if Clint. No,
I don't know because Capella was on the Rockets. He was on the Rockets.
Oh, yeah.
The Hawks now. Yeah, no, he was on the Rockets at that point in his career. I believe the 4 All-Stars were... I know it was Korver. I know it was Jeff Teague. Who were the other ones? Was Josh Smith? Millsap.
It was a Millsap.
I think it was after Josh Smith because I remember Josh Smith was before that.
It was.
It may have been a Josh Smith.
No. Joe Johnson?
Joe Johnson was on the Nets. No, Joe Johnson was on the Nets at that point in time.
Oh, that was the Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett.
Joe Johnson was on that team. On the Hawks, I know it was Millsap, Teague, and Korver, and I know they had another role player.
Was it Horford?
It was Horford.
Maybe.
And Horford.
Yeah, it had to have been Al Horford, right?
It was Horford. Yep.
That was like Horford in his prime.
Yep. That was that team.
Al Horford, Korver, Millsap, and Jeff Teague.
Yeah.
Look at us doing
Jeff
that.
Teague was an all-star. That was crazy.
Proud
and they were all like role play. If you look at their stats, nobody was.
That was somehow that was a really good team.
Yeah, they were fun. They played. Game of Zones. Team basketball.
Yeah, team basketball. No, they're a fun team to watch. Too bad they did nothing.
Yeah,
that's one of those teams. As fun as they are to watch and as good as they are in the regular season, that's not.
They
a team
got
that wins
steamrolled
championships
in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's not a team that wins championships.
They lost, I think. Who did they lose to? Did they lose to the Wizards? I don't think they lost to the Cavs. Did they lose to the Cavs?
I'll look it up. 2015.
Yeah, look that up because I think they they either lost to the Wizards or the Cavs.
I don't think it was the Cavs because I think I remember them not having like a dignifying exit to the playoffs.
Hawks. They beat Brooklyn in the first round.
Okay.
They beat Washington in the second.
That was a 7-game series, right?
6, 4-2, and then they got swept by Cleveland.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Yeah, it was not a big.
It was the Hawks were the 1 seed, and Cleveland was the 2. Cleveland swept Boston that year. Took 6.
Remember that one?
Went 4-2 against Chicago, and then they swept Atlanta.
That was a legendary season.
That was the year the Celtics just stumbled into the playoffs.
And then they lost.
Just showed up.
That was the Jeff Green Celtics.
That was the Jeff Green, Avery Bradley, Brandon Bass.
That was a good team.
If Jeff Green,
that was a team that just showed up to the playoffs and were like, we're happy to be here.
If Jeff Green was any as good as he was in real life as he was in NBA 2K, he would have been a Hall of Famer. Dunk package, insane.
Was that the Isaiah? No, that wasn't the Isaiah Thomas year.
Isaiah Thomas was 2017.
Yeah.
That was
Isaiah. Actually,
magical run.
Brunson's putting
fiery little man.
Brunson's putting up, I think, just as good, if not better, numbers than Isaiah Thomas that year.
They're the best. They're the best numbers for players coming out of the second round. It's like 28 and 10 or 8 or somewhere. They both averaged like 27. Isaiah Thomas's first year in the Celtics.
That was sad.
Speaking of these old Celtics teams here, I think we all remember that lovely 2008 championship with one man at the helm, Mr. Doc Rivers, and his one time to shine.
Yeah.
And since then,
Doc Rivers did so much for that team. Yeah.
oh yeah, that team definitely didn't coach itself to an NBA Finals. But he had his one shining moment, and since then it has been not pretty to say the least.
Nick, was Ray Allen an all-star on that team? Fourth
Ray
option.
Allen was him.
Ray Allen was a legitimate all-star.
Allen
That's like
was
saying Chris
him.
Bosh wasn't an all-star on the Heat.
Fourth option.
Ray Allen was him.
Four option, like Derek
No, he was the
White
third
now.
option. No, you don't know ball.
On
If you're saying Ray
Yeah.
Allen on the Celtics isn't an all-star, that's
No,
cap.
I
That's just
want
threat.
to. No,
I mean,
no.
Ray Allen-
footage of today, Ray Allen was him.
Ray Allen from 2008 to like 2011, 2012 he started to fall off a little bit, was a legitimate all-star.
I know. I'm
But
just
when Ray Allen moved to his like role player role,
Yeah.
he was still a beast because
I mean, he was a solid role player on the Heat
out.
even after that.
Exactly. He
People
played
forget-
it. He did his job.
people forget the Ray Allen early dunk package he had with.
Oh yeah.
Yes. No, when
Bucks
he was
and-
on the Bucks.
Sonics,
Bucks and Supersonics.
Yeah, Bucks and Super.
Yeah.
Insane.
Oh, yeah, he was a beast when he was athletic.
Yeah, I was just trying to.
I love Ray Allen. Ray Allen's one of my favorites.
I was just
Yeah.
trying to poke more holes in the Derek White argument. Stupid.
No, that you can't compare that because
Too.
Ray Allen was an established all-star that got traded or
I know,
signed
I know.
with the Celtics and then
Yes.
took a smaller role with
Yes,
other
because
all-stars
he
around
wanted
him.
to
It's
win.
like saying Chris Bosh wasn't an all-star on the Heat.
I
Yes,
know
you
it
can.
was bad. I tried to do something, failed.
You
No,
got cooked.
no, you can't. You
Get off the
you
grill.
can't do that to Ray Allen. Get off
Yeah.
the grill.
Obviously, Ray
Do
Allen.
it. Let's
obviously
cook
that's
the
what Ray
man.
Allen
Let's
did.
cook the man on the block right now, Doc Rivers. Why the hell are the Bucks hiring him? First of all, why did they fire the coach? You're the second
think
seed.
something
You all of a sudden
happened.
Say things, something along the lines of Ime Udoka on
Yeah,
the Celtics.
yep. Something
Had
like
to
we're
have
not
been
going to
gone.
elaborate, but
Not
something
going
like
to elaborate on that. If you know, you know. But something along those lines had to have been happening.
wait, I don't know.
It came out
You
of
don't
the
know
blue.
what happened?
No, I do.
Okay, I was
No,
going
he
to say.
knows. It came out of the blue. No rationale given. I mean, the team was a 2 seed. They were
They
absolutely
were,
rolling.
I think they were 39.
Why?
15 when they fired him.
Why? Why do you do this?
It does. It's unheard of. I've never seen a team that's
And
second
then-
Outside of
seed.
who you go and hire,
Yeah.
outside
then-
of like who you bring in, why do
Something
you get
happened.
rid of who you
And
have?
then you come in and you bring Doc Rivers.
Time and time again, proven to be the world's worst coach of all time.
Yeah.
27 and 32 in the playoffs.
That one champion.
16 and 33 in a series where he's won 3 games. 2 3-1 blown leads, 4 blown 3-2 leads, and 4 Game 7 losses on home court. Why do you bring this in to
That
coach the 2
2008
seed?
That 2008 championship and his son's high school mixtape is the only thing keeping him in the NBA.
Yeah, it's really a disaster because to me it just shows like they're going to be in a tough series. Most likely, if everything goes well, they should be in a tough conference finals against the Celtics.
Against the Celtics.
That's like
That's
the
how it
ideal,
should
right?
play
That's
out.
what should happen.
Yes. Yes.
You're going to have Doc Rivers in there who continues.
Last year
he showed he couldn't.
Last year you showed he couldn't do it. Against the Celtics.
Even the first game he came on Milwaukee. The second game, blown lead.
Since then,
It's
he's
crazy.
blown lead. I mean, the Bucks look absolutely terrible since bringing him on board.
What is he doing as a coach? Does realistically, you're coaching grown men all stars. You have Dame and Giannis. with
That team
Middleton.
Coach yourself.
you're-
It just
you're
needs a defensive system put in place.
They hired a defensive head coach, assistant or whatever. I thought.
Well, bringing an assistant coach versus your actual head coach who's calling all the shots, very different story. I'm looking here. The Bucks are 5-5 in their last 10, coming off a 2-game losing streak now going into tonight.
Yeah, it's not good.
I can't piece together why this man was seen as the answer to fix the problem that they thought they had with their head coach.
Is there really no one else?
There were a lot of
I don't
good
know.
coaches. There's a lot of good coaches out there.
There's a lot out there.
You
There's
had
a lot out there.
What's that guy's name? He was the coach of the Nets when they won on the Nets before Kenny Atkinson. Kenny Atkinson, phenomenal coach. I cannot believe to this day he turned the Nets from a poverty franchise to a playoff team that was able to attract Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. He gets there, right? Those guys sign there, and then they fire him immediately because he's a coach who actually calls the shots. And he's
Is Mike Woodson floating around still?
Well, Mike Woodson, I know, went to go coach.
Where's he somewhere right now?
I think he went to go coach at Louisville.
I think, yeah.
Do you think he'd say no to an NBA job again?
No, if NBA head coaching,
I think Woodson would have been the perfect answer.
I would have love that for them.
Mike
I think he's shown time and time again he knows how to coach these big name stars.
He took the Indiana job.
Indiana. Yeah, you're right. That's where he's been.
I think he'd leave him for a heartbeat if he got offered the job in Milwaukee.
Yeah, he would do that.
But I think he would have done a phenomenal job with the Bucks. I mean, he worked very well with LeBron. I think Giannis has a very similar play style to when he was coaching LeBron. He worked with Kyrie. I mean, you have Dame, very similar play style. I think he would have had a field day with that team.
Would you bring back Mark Jackson?
Mark Jackson's a phenomenal coach too. He hasn't been coach. He hasn't been a coach since he was on the Warriors, and they got rid of him for Steve Kerr. And
yep.
I
don't see what everyone sees in Steve Kerr. I don't think he does a good job at all. I think this year's enough to show that Steve Kerr is not really all that. And him coming out before the deadline too and saying, "I don't think we need to make any moves."
Yeah.
I mean, Paul, your favorite thing to say right now, you got to accept cookies to see the Warriors in the standings right
now. Exactly.
Is Steve Kerr the Aaron Boone of the NBA? God, he has one.
Don't get me fired up on Boone yet.
He has
too early in the year.
He hit one shot, saved Jordan's career, and now he's a head coach.
Well, here's the thing. Steve Kerr. I'm not going to sit here and rail on Steve Kerr because the bottom line is he did win 4 championships as a head coach, which is not easy to do. I understand.
Could have had a 5-year-old coaching him.
2 of those, I understand. 2 of those championships they coached themselves.
To beat LeBron.
That's 2 of those championships.
You could have had a 5-year-old with a crayon out there coaching that team.
Again, that's 2017 and 18, and they were in a 7-game series against the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals in 2018. Yep. So it wasn't that easy. I understand that.
Prime James Harden.
But here's the thing. 2015, yeah, they had an injury-plagued Cavaliers as their finals opponent, but they still did go and win. 2022, they beat the Celtics in the finals. Yep. They went to the NBA Finals, and they didn't have, a Kevin Durant. It was literally just the 2015 Warriors, but older. That's really.
But again, how much of that do you put on the coach, and then how much of that do you put on the players?
I put that.
It's always tough to draw that line.
Yeah, I understand that, and it's like you can't take anything away from him because obviously Curry did play very well, but talent-wise, everybody wants to forget it's revisionist history. The Warriors were not favored to win that series going in.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I remember very well.
Everybody thought the Celtics were the Celtics were a much more talented team than the Warriors. So they outsmarted them. They Udoka did get outcoached a little bit in that series. So I think he's a good coach. He's coming from look at his experience as a player, the coaches that he's been around. He was around Phil Jackson. He was around Greg Popovich. He was around a lot of really good coaches as a player, and he's been able to transfer that to his own coaching career. So I'm not going to say he's a bad coach or anything. I think he might be a little overrated or whatever, but to me, Kenny Atkinson, Mark Jackson, those would have been great pickups. But you don't fire your coach as a second seed, and we're seeing this team fall apart right now because of that. That's just
absolutely
the bottom line.
Blows me away. I think just the firing out of the blue has caused some chaos within the team. Yeah. I think that had to have disrupted the chemistry.
Yeah. That's why I always wondered what goes in. You see those all team meetings, halftime readjustments. I wonder what coaches they actually say, being in there. Because
there's a lot to say.
Yeah, but I've heard things where it's Peyton Manning's come out at halftime. He goes,
give the Tom Brady halftime speech.
He goes, we just have oranges and we sit there and we go back in and there's no adjustments or anything. They do that on the fly. And then you have coaches that are will sit in the film room during meetings and dissect every little thing. I wonder what they say to other grown men and how much they dictate on the court, how much that translates on the court. Because they're eventually.
I think the types of coaches that are firing up their teams at halftime and really making adjustments.
Thibodeau's doing that.
Thibodeau's doing that. Spoelstra's doing that.
Yeah, Spoelstra's
right. Trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, there's these guys that are very vocal, and you can see like if a team is struggling in the first half, some games they just come out and look like an entirely new team come the second half. I mean, that's how you get some of these giant comebacks.
Yeah, it's all adjustments. It's like, okay, this guy is killing us right now. We're changing our adjustments to say we're letting anybody but him score. And that's even with I saw it firsthand. I was at the Knicks-Lakers game last week, and I know Darvin Ham is not a good coach, but they did adjust. They said, we're going to let anybody but Jalen Brunson beat us. So they would throw a double and triple team at him every time he touches the ball and say, we're going to let Precious Achiuwa make a wide open three in the corner. Okay, yeah, he bricked it. What a shocker. That's what they expected.
Let the people that aren't going to beat you. Yeah, if that happens, so be it.
Yeah. So, that is, something that coaches can do. Doc Rivers is just not that good at it. I also think a lot of it has to do with leadership. I think a lot of players,
I agree too.
We sit here and we're like, why would they hire Doc Rivers? He's a choke artist, right?
You have to imagine the players are saying
you
this
don't think
too.
the players know that? Of course they know that. They probably sit on social media looking, especially younger players, they sit there looking at all this stuff all the time. So, and they know more than we do. So they know stories. They know all these things that the public doesn't know.
Yep.
So to me, I don't know why they would go and get a guy like Doc. It didn't make any sense to me. And I don't know.
Make sense.
I think they're going to...
I think you're going to see a slow decline of the Bucks.
Yeah.
I would be as bold to say I don't know if they're going to finish in the top 4. But the way that they're sliding right now,
I think they'll be fourth seed. I think they'll be fourth.
Maybe 4.
Talent alone in a weaker East.
With the way that here's the thing, right? When you look at the standings,
you say talent alone, but then you look at their defense.
To me, the top is going to be the Celtics, hands down.
Yes.
Number 2, I think, is going to be Cleveland because Cleveland's healthy now. They're hot.
Yeah, the Knicks are going to take a little bit.
Knicks are going to take a hit because Randall's still hurt. OG Anunoby is going to be out for 3 weeks. Mitchell Robinson's still out.
But they'll get back on the horse.
They'll be fine. I think the Knicks could finish 3rd. To me, if they're playing like they've been playing, I think they will finish 4th. I don't think they'll slip to 5th because 5th right now is the Sixers. And to me, I see the Sixers trending even more downward than the Bucks. And I see the Pacers trending downwards too a little bit. So to me, I think they'll be able to hold on to the 4th seed. But it's like if you're the Bucks, and you slip down to 4th, right? Let's say you're matched up with the Pacers in the first round and you're able to beat them, which they should. Yep. That'll be a tough matchup for them, but they should be able to beat them.
That makes sense. Yeah.
You're now matched up with the Celtics in the second round. And it's like, okay, we got to get past the Celtics, who are probably the best team in the East. You got to get past them. It's like, oh, wow, we get past the Celtics. Now we're matched up with, New York or Cleveland or Miami, potentially.
Another hot team.
And then that team is going to be whoever wins that is going to be extremely hot. Because if you have the Cavs, let's say, coming off of a victory against the Knicks, or the Knicks coming off of a victory against the Cavs, it's going to be tough to beat, and they're going to be very confident. So and then so you have to go through all these tough, playoff wins. And they won't have home court either, which is a factor for them. They're not a good road team. That's if you look at their record on the road, they're not a good road team. They thrive off of wins at home, and that's
usually a good indication of a playoff team.
Yeah, about being a good playoff team. If you have a good record away, obviously everybody's gonna have a better record at home. I mean, the Celtics are almost unbeatable at home when they're not playing the Nuggets, but.
That was a low blow.
No, but the Celtics are very good at home. The Knicks, this is the thing about the Knicks that's shocking. The Knicks always were a horrible home team because the other team's best player is coming in there and saying, I'm putting on a show on MSG. But now the Knicks are comfortable with MSG, and the fans are totally behind them. The Knicks are very tough to beat.
The Knicks have an incredible fan base.
Yeah, the Knicks are very tough to beat at the Garden this year. And their record shows it, but I think the Knicks are still 14-12 on the road, so they're above 500 on the road, and
it's not great, it's not terrible, but it's progress.
It's above 500, and they started the season with a lot of road games. They haven't really been playing on the road recently.
That's true.
So that and that's going back to
we haven't seen
their original
this team on
their
the road.
Original roster with Barrett and Quickly. It's not the same team.
Yep. So it's not. This team, the Knicks right now, it's black and white difference from the start of the season. It's been incredible watching the turnaround.
Since the OG trade, I would put 2 teams. That splits the season so far.
Yeah.
Pre and post OG. for sure.
And we'll see. Maybe a
no,
different team
100%.
now.
We'll see. The weeks to come have lots in store.
Yeah, Alec Burks.
Trade deadline's over. Everything's solidified. Heading into the All-Star break and off to the dog days of the NBA.
Yeah.
Bojan and Alec Burks taking us to the promised land.
But anyway,
We'll see. Time will tell.
That's it for the NBA. We can get to.
Yeah.
I think we can discuss the
basically covers
MLB a little bit. Discuss that because that's something that I think we've all been looking forward to. There's a lot to talk about because you got the Dodgers are the biggest story in sports. I think
there is
the team they've put together.
To say about the Dodgers, and first and foremost, as a Yankee fan, it's been nice being the team where, quote unquote, we buy our rings.
Yeah.
Haven't done it in a while. Hal seems to just want to keep his pocket closed, but
15 years.
15 years, man. We'll get into that. But the Dodgers have done what the Yankees time and time again have done, but to a different caliber that the likes of the MLB has never seen before, with $1 billion with a B spent in this offseason.
And they
It's crazy.
half that money.
It's absolutely sickening.
It's insane.
It's sickening to me seeing this team develop. First, you have Ohtani, the entire contract basically deferred. Then you steal Yamamoto from the Yankees. I know, it's ridiculous.
And
then you bring in Yamamoto, stealing him from the Yankees and the Mets, two people who had their eyes on him for forever. And the Dodgers go, yeah, we're going to throw our brother in the hat and just take him. They bring in Glasnow, a Cy Young contender for the past few years. Teoscar Hernandez, a great player to bring in, potentially off the bench, maybe starting some games. And then you bring in James Paxton. Why? Because why not? Who doesn't need 7 starting pitchers? You re-sign Kershaw, you re-sign Buehler. Jake, take it away.
Big component that Yamamoto used both New York teams to leverage for the Dodgers. Looking back at it, I don't think that there is one chance, maybe the sliver about the jersey, but I think he used it to get an extra $25-50 million that Hal or Steve Cohen were not able to just dish out.
I think originally, if you're talking Yamamoto,
and then you just load.
I think originally Yamamoto wanted to come play for the Yankees, and I think he met with the Mets to try and elbow grease a little bit.
And that's why you saw the Mets did ultimately offer more money than the Yankees.
The Mets offered more money, and then the Yankees came back and matched the Mets. And I don't think anybody, even Yamamoto, thought that the Dodgers were going to say, we're going to go even higher than that, and then just take him. Well, because they had just signed Ohtani for God knows how much money.
I believe that the official deal was, I think the Yankees offered $300 million. I think the Mets offered $325, and I think he signed with the Dodgers for $325. I think the Mets matched the Dodgers' offer, and he just took the Dodgers because I would take. I'm a Mets fan, but I would sign with the Dodgers over the Mets if I was a free agent. Meaning not me personally, but like if I didn't have like a bias.
I thought Cohen he went below.
No, he offered $325.
No, Cohen matched the Dodgers, but
he did come over the top.
The reason that I think going into this offseason signing period, I think everyone kind of knew Yamamoto wasn't going to go to the Mets, except for Mets fans, because Mets fans like to just have hope.
Yeah,
and they deserve hope.
Have fun.
But the reason I say this is because in Japan, the team that Yamamoto played for was kind of the Mets to the Yankees, where it's like a little brother type of role. And something that he was really looking to break out of was that. So I think just coming in here, it's really no surprise that he didn't ultimately end up going with the Mets.
With both these contracts, though, I'm a big firm believer in this with all sports. Some people say there should be salary cap in the MLB, which I don't agree with necessarily.
I don't agree with that either.
I agree that max contracts, there should be a limit on max contracts. 5 years.
I don't know about that.
5 years, 150 is the max, and it can reach to 200. That's it. 5 years for 200. That's the cap. It'll force more people to win. It'll force better role players to step up and get paid more. You can reevaluate teams. Players will be worth the same, and all
have to
stars
look
worth
at
the
it.
same across the board. I'm a firm believer that you should cap contracts. You shouldn't be paying.
You have
guys
to look at this from a
7.
player's standpoint.
Yeah, but
Injuries. The reason that players want big, long contracts more than anything is injuries. If they get injured, they're screwed.
Owners need to come up. Paying a guy 10 years for $700 million, and he only performs for 3 years, but there's only an opt-out after 7. In Yamamoto's case, there's no opt-out unless the owner retires or sells the team. That's ridiculous.
That's true, and that only comes in, I
And
think it's in,
Yamamoto-
2032, 33?
And Yamamoto hasn't played one game in the MLB. It's a different.
No one knows how he's going to be.
It's a different caliber, and we're like, yeah.
But you did see him in the World Baseball Classic, and he did shine in the World Baseball Classic. I will say that.
U.S. didn't put their, they put their top hitters.
What do you mean we didn't put our top guys out there?
No, we did. I was mistaken for pitchers, but he still never he still never played. And you're giving a guy like that type of money. You should have to prove yourself. It's the same reason with rookies.
There's two big questions. One you've already addressed. Is he going to be facing the same level of competition? That's always something that's up in the air. The other thing that comes in anytime you bring in a pitcher from Japan, the biggest question is Tommy John. They have a very different throwing regimen over there. They have very different workout plans. And, this kind of goes back to when we were talking about load management earlier in the show. These pitchers that come over from Japan typically have a road to Tommy John. You look at Tanaka. Senga still has that question mark over his head. He still hasn't played enough years over here where you're sure he's not going to fall victim to that. You hope it doesn't happen with a talent like this coming over, but it is a question that is raised. But back to a salary cap limit here, because that is the question that you brought up. I don't think the MLB needs it, and I don't think they need any restrictions on contracts, years, anything, because I think there's no secret as to why no MLB team has done what the Dodgers are doing right now. Any team has had the ability to do it. Any team next year can do it if they want. I think teams are too afraid to pay the price of what's to come. 2036 rolls around, the Dodgers are going to start paying these bills, and they're not going to see any glimpse of the playoffs for the years to come. And with that said, what constitutes success from this? Going this far in? How many World Series do you expect from them over the next 5-10 years to really call this a success?
With this lineup and this rotation, and assuming everyone is healthy.
Just to rattle off the names here, expected lineup coming into the season. You got Mookie, you got Ohtani, Freeman, Will Smith, Muncy, Outman, Taylor, sort of middle of the road guys, but Hayward and Lux too, still essential guys. Your rotation, like I said, you have 7-8 starting pitchers. You're starting 5 right now: Yamamoto, Glasnow, Buehler, Bobby Miller, James Paxton. All 5 of those guys are at least a 2 or a 3 on 90% of the teams in the MLB. And then injured, you have Ohtani. He's eventually going to come back and be an incredible starting pitcher for them. You have Kershaw coming back middle of the year, maybe shifting to the bullpen, and then Dustin May. This is a super team, super teams.
If you don't win 2, 3 of the next 5 years, and your kryptonite ends up being that 87 and 78 Cardinals team, that's all grit. We're looking at the next Bobby Bonilla day, which is going to be Ohtani in 10:36.
It's great. Is it like hands off to each other? I don't know if you've seen that.
2034
like a year apart.
Ohtani starts, and 2035 Bonilla ends, and that's when it's a downfall. I don't see any possible success coming unless they win 3 of the next 5. You're paying that much.
I put a hard number on 3. You started with 2 or 3. I say 3. No less. You put $1 billion down in a single offseason to assemble probably the greatest talent-wise team the MLB has ever seen.
The team has the potential to break the Mariners' record. Potential.
This team can. I know.
And assuming everyone stays healthy, I was a big fan of Buehler before he got hurt.
Yeah, he's an up-and-coming star. Bobby Miller is just young kid, just absolute fireball thrower. This
Next thing
team is
I don't.
going to be scary for the years to come. It's just a matter of will they perform. Baseball, I always say, and this is why I love it so much as a sport, it's the most individual team sport that exists. You can pay $1 billion for one man on your team. He's still only getting 4 at-bats. No matter how good he is, if he homers every at-bat, you're only up 4-0. Everybody needs to be clicking. Everybody needs to be firing on all cylinders when it matters. And that's what you're going to be able to see in this upcoming year.
When you look at the contracts, do you think he's worth that money? Would you pay
Ohtani?
Would you pay Ohtani the 10,700, and would you pay Yamamoto 5 for or 8, whatever it is, for 325? Personally,
Yeah, would you pay that money?
would you pay the money?
Personally, out of my wallet,
would you
out of my
personally
wallet.
pay that money?
Yeah, am I writing Ohtani a check for $800 million?
You're the Dodgers.
I'll say, yeah, I'll defer it 120 years. I'll pay you then.
Out of a
Yeah, you
trust
come play
fund.
for me. Yeah.
Would you pay him?
Talk to my lawyers. I'm 120 years.
If you're the Dodgers owner, are you paying?
I don't know. I mean, the thing with Ohtani, which is just so unique, he is kind of 2 contracts in one. Like, that's the only justifiable reason I see for a contract of this value. You're paying him to hit and also to pitch. I mean, the man's been in the Cy Young conversation and the MVP conversation.
Honestly,
He's
though,
talent. He's a once in a lifetime talent.
I don't know.
I don't know if 700 million is the number.
I just think it's too much money for too many years for a guy who's potentially might never pitch again.
He'll pitch again.
You don't know that. That's a question mark on an elbow.
Pitch again.
Here,
I love watching Ohtani.
Yeah, to me, the whole thing is like I know like the topic of like the salary cap. To me, you have to look like what type of league do you want, and to me, the league that I mean, obviously, I know the NFL has that somewhat. I'm not really 100% sure how it works with them, but the NBA it's very outlined where they have max contracts, salary cap, all this stuff, and the NBA implemented this in I think 1985. And you have to look at how the league changed from that point. Because before that, you had literally the Celtics and the Lakers just going to... Like, it was only big market teams winning every
just
year.
going to the finals, yeah.
Just Celtics, Lakers all the time. And then the NBA still had power at that point, and the players weren't getting paid that much, so they could just... the NBA could do that. But at this point in time, then you look at the NBA today, right, where we have a salary cap. Obviously you've had situations like the Lakers still becoming a dominant force in the NBA, but how do they do it? Okay, they traded on draft day the Hornets' 13th pick or something for Kobe Bryant at 18 years old. They did things like that. They built the team the right way. Yes, They did sign Shaq. You have an advantage. The Heat, yes, they were able to sign LeBron and D Wade, and the Lakers were able to sign LeBron.
They drafted D Wade.
Well, I'm saying they signed D Wade in free agency back. When he was a free agent, they were able to keep him keep LeBron. They're able to do things. Some of these teams, everything, not everything is organic and developed, but you do look at the NBA right now. We discussed the top of the West, where you have the Thunder, the Timberwolves, the Nuggets. You have the Nuggets winning the NBA championship. When are you going to see the Twins in the World Series? You're not really going to be seeing stuff like that. So do you want the MLB to be like that?
World Series last year, the Diamondbacks and the Rangers.
Yeah,
but this is the point to here. There's a big difference between a salary cap in MLB and NBA. Yeah. Like I said, MLB individual team game. As good as a person is, they're at bat 4, maybe 5 times a game.
They're a piece.
In the NBA, I think I agree with the salary cap because you can't just bring in too many people that are incredible at basketball. Every single play, you can feed the ball to your best player. I mean, you've seen that happen time and time again. LeBron, Kobe, all those types of players. Baseball, you can't do that. No matter how much you want him at the plate, the whole order needs to bat around for him to come back up again.
So why not limit the amount of years and money you can sign someone to? That's
Because
my big thing.
I just feel like that's unfair.
The players will never do it. The players.
I think
will
that's
never
unfair
do
to the
it.
players.
The problem
the
is
players' unions and all that. They're never going to do it, and it's unfair to them.
Yeah, they would never do it. But like, are you really worth that? Like Embiid, is Embiid realistically? Are you worth that much money to play half a year? You don't deserve all of that guaranteed.
That's the
money to
gamble
play
you take
half
with
a
a
year.
talent like that. That's
the
that's just
NBA
sports.
players
It would
union
ruin-
is the strongest players union because the NBA, they all get guaranteed contracts. You're not going to see a situation like the NFL where it's like, oh yeah, we signed this guy who's only going to be in the league for 5 years because he's a wide receiver or something. You know, we signed him and like only a third of his contract's guaranteed. That just won't happen in the NBA because the NBA, there's player empowerment. Baseball is getting to that point now where the guys are making so much money. They're not going to sit there and say that, like, you know, when you look at players signing 10-year deals, you know, in six figure. I mean, not six, nine
Maybe
figures.
I don't want to spend $60.
They're not
for
going
a
to
hot
agree
dog when
to.
it's paid.
Yeah, the players aren't going to agree to that. So that's just
9 figures.
You know.
9 figures.
Yeah, I said 6 figures at first, and I was like, wait, no, that's not right. It's 9 figures.
To play baseball. To play baseball.
Learn how to throw a little ball very fast, kids.
And not even play every day.
Pay off. Yeah, you play once every 5 days. Not a bad gig. The next biggest topic in this offseason.
Speaking of the dethroned evil empire.
The dethroned evil empire. Are we back? Was it enough? Can Hal open his pockets? Finally, he needs to pick a direction to go.
Can we sign Snell, please?
Outside of Snell, first let's go with what the Yankees have done first, what they haven't done. So I would say this has been the most successful offseason that the Yankees have had in recent years. I think bringing in Soto, albeit for 1 year, the Yankees do have a window to win. They can extend him. I think they need to demonstrate, though, that they're here and the talent that they have is capable of winning a World Series.
They have to extend him.
I agree.
I think it's like
I think the Yankees have to extend him. Otherwise, it was just a waste of time because there were so many other people they could have splurged on this offseason. Yamamoto being one of them that they just backed off of because they gave the money to Soto. But we'll see how it plays out. My favorite move so far this offseason from them, as much as I love Soto, I think bringing in Verdugo answers a lot of the Yankees' problems. I've said time and time again, the Yankees rely too much on this home run or bust baseball. Come playoff time, in a 7-game series, 5-game series, you cannot rely on that to win baseball games. Singles, doubles, RBIs, little bloop singles, that's what wins games. A good batting average wins games.
Yeah.
Before bringing in Verdugo and Soto, the Yankees had one single player in the top 60 in MLB ranking in batting average. After bringing in Soto and Verdugo, now that number's up to 3. I think that's going to answer a lot of their problems. It's going to fix these little cold stints that the Yankees go through where all of a sudden they can't score runs. And that's just because nobody hits. Nobody looks for singles, doubles. Soto, Verdugo, they're going to fill that role.
Soto's walk. The amount of time
Soto also gets on base too a lot. Verdugo's quick too. The Yankees, they're building up their speed. I mean, we got Volpe now.
We need to figure out. We need to figure out a lineup. We need to stick to a lineup.
That all goes to Boonie Ball.
Boonie
Ball is one of the worst things I have seen in recent baseball. I think he's a horrible manager. There's no consistency day in, day out. I feel like nobody feels like they have a secure spot. Everything changes from day to day. I don't think that's right to do to a baseball player, considering how mental of a game baseball is.
Boone had 1 hit, and now he's coaching the Yankees. 1 hit.
I don't know.
I want to hear it.
I don't know what people. I don't know what people see in him. I don't know what management sees in him. I don't know what Hal sees in him. I don't know. He's needed to go for the past 3-4 years. You're going to hear me keep coming back to this as the weeks go on and on and on, and we get closer to baseball season.
The guy I wouldn't mind with a job, but he's in the yes box. Girardi. Bring back Joe Girardi.
They should not have let Girardi go when they let him go.
He won in 2009. He knows what he's doing.
I think that group lost the connection that you need with your manager, but you have a whole new core right now. I think Girardi would be perfect.
We need a new hitting coach with a new philosophy. You don't
I
touch
agree.
You don't touch Judge's swing. You don't touch Soto's swing, and everyone else needs to figure it out. Stanton needs to stay healthy. He needs to realize that a double down the line is just as valuable as this 28 home
That's
runs.
been the biggest problem.
When you only play
with him.
half the season. Well, he's made of glass. Stanton's made of glass. Guy can't run.
A lot of them are. I think the whole Yankees training staff also needs to be reevaluated. You see them going down with these small little injuries more than any other team. It's like a pulled hammy, a little pulled oblique, a little shoulder strain. It's ridiculous. You can't be having this. Something has been funky in there for the past few years.
And that leads to, if you're not healthy, do you expect to win the AL East with the Orioles now?
No.
Coming in?
I think even if you are healthy, you don't expect to win the AL East. You need to show out come playoff time. I think the Orioles are too good right now for anything to happen. And they just added Corbin Burns. They're under new ownership. Mr. Cal Ripken Jr., who I think is going to be he's going to push for a lot of success with that team. He's been saying this is something that he's wanted to do for the longest time. Great talent. He knows ball. I mean, I think he's going to help him tremendously. He's also probably going to be interacting with the players to a degree, which is going to help tremendously as well.
There's no reason for him not to.
Do you see the Orioles here to stay? Are they a little up-and-coming dynasty potentially?
It depends on this year and their next year's offseason moves.
They got a very young core.
They do. But this is what I was going to ask earlier, I think in basketball with the picks, or this year with the trades for the Yankees also. Do you keep your farm, or do you keep your draft picks and stuff? And are current players more valuable, current proven players more valuable than unproven guys coming up? And
it varies from team to team, I think. I think the Yankees should sell their farm and bring in talent. I think the Orioles should hold their farm and also try and bring in talent, which I mean they're kind of doing. They got Corbin Burns, not really for much.
I was going to say, do they have?
And their farm has basically been brought up now. I mean, the Orioles need to put their foot on the gas the next few years.
I think if the Yankees pitching could come out, if Rodon finally is worth the $176 million, they can give the Orioles a run. They can give the Orioles a run for their money.
Rodon, I don't think Rodon is. I think he's one of those guys that just had some nasty breaking stuff. Film came out. Players learned how to hit him, learned how to read him. He's not going to be anything like what he was. I see him as like a 3.75 ERA, 600 win percentage.
Stroman was not enough to carry Cole and Nestor, and they needed to make another move.
I think they're still one piece away, but there's still time. We'll see what they can do. And speaking of that, there's two big names left on the market. Bellinger and Snell, both of which I would love to see end up in pinstripes. That's the Yankee bias in me speaking, though. But more realistically speaking, I mean, we'll start with Bellinger. His asking price is a little astronomical. He needs to come back down to earth, and I think the longer he remains a free agent, the more his asking price will settle a little bit. But as of now,
he's a Scott Boras agent. Okay.
As of now, all signs seem to be pointing to a Cubs reunion. It makes sense as long as they reach the right price to match and talk out a contract.
He's a good player.
They're talking potentially short-term deal on the Cubs. Not really sure if Bellinger's going to be happy about that. I know he's asking for a decent bit. But, I mean, the Cubs were a team last year kind of just on that brink. I personally thought if they got into the playoffs, they would be a little bit scary. But if Bellinger ends up there, I mean, I know they need some pieces, but there's a whole season for them to acquire some people. I'm not too familiar with their farm system, if they have anybody they can bring up. But, I mean, if Bellinger ends up there, potential contenders.
Yeah, I mean, they need some pieces around the Cubs, but Bellinger's a good player. Is he worth $200 million multi-year deal? Probably not. I mean, he had one good year with the Dodgers, and then he fell off, and then
he's at the tail end of his prime.
Yeah,
at the tail end of his prime.
Would I give him 100?
The other names,
probably.
Yeah,
but I think
the other names being thrown around here. I mean, Angels, Blue Jays, and loosely, the Yankees are in the mix here too.
I
I
think
don't see the Angels working. I really don't see the Angels working. I think Bellinger wants to win. The
Blue
Angels
Jays
are
can make a push.
blatantly the Angels are blatantly in the rebuilding stage.
Trout needs
So
to let go.
they need to give up Trout. The Angels really need to blow it up and start from scratch, but that's a whole another story. Blue Jays, I can see them definitely doing this. They haven't really done much in the offseason, so it
Blue
would make
Jays
sense.
They would have to re-sign Matt Chapman to
Yeah,
cornerstone their infield because Bellinger would play first.
yeah.
Oh no, he wouldn't.
No,
Vladdy
no.
Jr.
Bellinger would be in the outfield. They got room for him.
Bellinger would be in the outfield.
Yeah. No, but Blue Jays make sense. They haven't really had a huge splash yet this offseason, so if this is what they want to do with it, I can totally see him doing it. And the Yankees, if Hal wants to open his pockets, we all know he's very capable of doing so.
Nah,
But
Al
I think that would be World Series or bust if the Yankees ended up going for him for this year.
I think they should, to be honest.
I think they should go in.
I think when you're the Yankees and you have the opportunity, I don't think the Yankees aren't a young team, really. I mean, obviously Soto's young, but you could always, I personally would move on from Stanton, and then you could always
I would
use
too.
him as
I mean, it's just a matter of who are you going to dump Stanton on, or are you just going to hold on to him?
We should have traded him when we had the chance. The problem is with Stanton is that for past 2 years, he was one of the only guys that performed in the playoffs when it mattered. Him and Bader.
Yeah.
So
he can hit. Stanton can hit.
And he gives you 35 home runs. So
he can hit for a month
money?
at a time.
And then he can't hit. And then he gets hurt.
For a month at a time.
And then he gets hurt.
And then he gets hurt for a month at a time. And you can't put him in the field. You can't even think about putting him in the field.
That's the thing.
Because if you put him out there, he's either getting injured or he's putting up almost an error a game. I mean, he's a bumbling mess out in left. You can't trust him out there.
It's time after this year. I think you if you sign Bellinger, you keep Stan halfway through and you just evaluate. Chances are he's probably going to be hurt before the All-Star break anyway.
Exactly.
I mean, he's probably going to decline in his hitting.
Yep.
I mean, the guy strikes out like every 5 at bats.
That's the other big problem with the Yankees. That's why I like the Verdugo. I like the Soto. They don't strike out a lot.
And then you have another piece while Dominguez is hurt. I mean, you have Verdugo and Soto in the outfield. Mm-hmm. But also, you don't know how Rizzo's going to be. I mean, he's not concussed anymore.
That's true.
No,
he can actually think and formulate sentences once again.
The other big name free agent the Yankees need to get is Snell. And this is where the question with the money came back that I have.
Yes.
Yamamoto, unproven, $325.
Yep.
5 years, 5 to 7 years or whatever. Snell, reigning Cy Young. Do you pay him?
Yep. Well, it's not even a matter of do you pay him. The Yankees offered him something. What did they offer? It was roughly $2.
It was 5. It was 3 years, $150 million or something.
3 years, $150 million. Okay,
5 years, $150, $30 million.
He just wanted an extra year. I mean, I really don't understand what Hal is doing. The Yankees have done this in this offseason so far, and they need to do this to get to where they need to be. Just make the move already. I don't know what he's holding out for.
To me, when you're the Yankees, not being able to afford a contract or not being willing to give the guy money to put you over the top, especially a guy like Snell, who, I mean, that'd be incredible for the Yankees.
I think
not
so too.
Doing that as the New York Yankees is terrible. It's really disgraceful. Honestly, I really think that I know, like, you guys are talking about the Yankees here, but I think the Mets should really look into Snell because
I agree.
They need Snell more than the Yankees. If I'm being honest, because the Mets.
No, I know
the Mets' pitching is. I think they might have like bottom 10 rotation in the league this year.
Which is
really bad.
So ironic because last year everyone was talking about the Mets pitching rotation.
Yeah, look how that what happened.
And DeGrom got
that just didn't play out well.
And then DeGrom got a ring.
I mean, we're talking about the Yankees just because they're the only team to throw an offer out there.
Yeah. I think the Yankees should go for him.
There's no reason.
I hope they turn around. They give him the extra year. They bring him in. I think the Yankees make one more move of this caliber, Bellinger, Snell, whoever it may be. I think that puts the Yankees there.
Yeah.
And I think they are legitimately in contention for a World Series.
They would, and especially since the Astros are not what they were.
I mean, the Astros have sort of built up. They signed Hader in the offseason.
They re-extended.
They stayed. They stayed at the
but
same
they're
level,
vulnerable. They're not that powerhouse that they were
are
before.
No,
so to
they
me,
are.
the AL
The pitching's not there.
The AL is
hitting
something
still
you could
crazy.
win. And once you get to the World Series, I mean,
the Yankees need to at least make the World Series within the next 2 years. A 15-year drought is despicable.
If you add Snell, you throw Nestor or Stroman to the bullpen. You can even throw Rodon into the bullpen, which would be
no. You still need that full rotation. The Yankees.
but
who's the
Cole? It would be Cole, Nestor, and then Rodon, Snell. You throw Stroman.
Yeah, and Stroman. That's your 5.
That's a solid 5.
That's your 5.
Am I missing?
No, who's the who's that guy that he was terrible last year?
Oh, Clark Schmidt. Clark
Schmidt. That's the guy.
Trade him.
I remember watching this guy give up what was it? I think it was 9 runs in the first inning. The first time I ever watched him.
He strikes out 7 guys and he gives up 9 hits with 6 runs.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
you can't be doing that.
Yeah.
He is the most unreliable 5th option, I'd argue, in the league. I mean, what did he have last year? I think he had an ERA over 6, right?
Why we've kept him is beyond belief, and then why we've made some signings with pitchers in the past also beyond belief. When we got Andrew,
well, I mean, it's
crazy.
You ask why we've kept him, but then I also ask you, who do we have instead?
Well, we let
Clark Schmidt last year went 9-9 with a 4.64 ERA in 33 games. He only had a decision in half of his games.
Yeah, that's bad. We also traded King for Soto, so our probably best closer relief is gone. Wandy Peralta also to the Padres. We let walk, which realistically, not the worst. He really only had 1 pitch, and it wasn't really working towards the end. So I can give him that. I'd rather have King.
Mm-hmm.
But Clay Holmes needs to be more consistent.
Our pen needs to be more consistent. We need some more depth. We'll see what the Yankees do in the coming weeks. Yeah. See what everyone's going to do in the coming weeks.
There's still a lot left to be.
There's still a decent amount of time.
But when you look
pitchers and catchers are going to be reporting soon.
Yeah.
When you just look at teams like the Orioles that signed Kervin Bromans, we could have got Hader. He goes to the Astros.
The Yankees have held their cards a little too long. I don't know what Hal is thinking. He's thinking that the answer is just going to fall from the sky. And it's going to be free. And it's going to be free. Very important for Hal.
We have 7 good prospects, and they all play third base and shortstop. You can trade one.
That's what I'm saying.
Package one.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But anyway, there's going to be a lot of time to discuss.
MLB will start ramping up in the coming weeks.
But we have the biggest sporting event of the year.
We would be remiss to not mention.
Coming up, this week we got the Taylor Bowl.
Taylor Swift Sunday? Yeah. Super Bowl Sunday?
Does Travis propose if the Chiefs win?
I personally, I think if the Chiefs win, I would put the odds at plus 180.
No shot.
Yeah, that's what it is. I think the actual odds are.
That's what I would say.
I think it's minus 210 no, and it's plus 185 yes.
Yeah.
But the bigger question is, if he wins, does he retire?
How about the bigger question outside of the celebrity surrounding this? Who wins the damn game?
Well, if the Chiefs win, right? Does he retire? And
I don't think so.
Kelsey's got years left.
Yeah, but both his brothers.
They have such different roles.
Yeah. They both retire.
Jason Kelsey's taking an absolute beating.
He's in the
front lines.
Travis is 35.
I think he's playing so well, and they're contending for Super Bowls. Yeah, I think they're contending for Super Bowls.
Why would he leave?
He could still play.
Why would he leave? I think he finishes with the Mahomes mark.
He has all.
I think he gives Mahomes as much as he can. Because right now the whole storyline is Mahomes and Kelsey are basically the Brady and Gronk.
If Mahomes wins the Super Bowl, I think that's 3 or 4 in 7 years.
3.
It's impressive. I mean, he's on track to.
We throwing GOAT out there?
I think the question starts
Kelsey?
for sure. No, Mahomes.
Oh, you're saying for Kelsey for GOAT
His-
I mean,
his
it's him
only
and
loss
Gronk,
is-
but I
his
do
only
think I'd put
losses
Gronk
were
ahead of
Tom
him right
Brady.
now.
I mean, you have the parallels. It's Brady and Gronk and Mahomes and Kelsey.
Gronk is a way better tight end as a tight end.
I agree.
Travis is a better receiver, but Gronk is, if you took Travis and you mashed him with George Kittle, that's Gronk.
Yeah.
But I think I got the Niners winning the Super Bowl. They have a better defense. They know exactly what they're doing. And if you look at the last time they matched up, the Chiefs had the more explosive offense with the lesser defense.
Mm-hmm.
And now the Niners are having more yards per attempt in receiving and rushing, and the Chiefs have downgraded, and their defense is not that great. I'm taking the Niners. I think Shanahan gets it done finally.
If we're playing a football game, I got the Niners. If there's a script,
the only problem.
Why wouldn't the Chiefs win?
I've in every round of the playoffs so far, I go, nah, Chiefs ain't winning.
I've done the same thing.
And Mahomes comes back and he wins.
And lo and behold, the Chiefs have always found a way.
So
I don't know.
I can't even say that the Ravens
I think it's going to be a dogfight
or anything because the Ravens beat themselves. They literally could have won that so easily. And they screwed it themselves. So it's not even that, the script was for them or that the refs. No, that was just the Ravens being stupid. So to me, I think the Chiefs are definitely vulnerable. I think this is probably the worst Chiefs team that we've seen, contending for a Super Bowl in a while. I think when you get the 49ers, they have so many weapons right now. Purdy's been playing great, but McCaffrey...
Purdy's a quarterback that's going to be up for the head-to-head with Mahomes, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see if he can keep it long-term. He's only in his second year.
Detroit had the best chance.
Detroit had a good chance to beat them, and they did well, but they played inspired. They came out that second half. They came out really inspired. I think they're just really talented right now. Their defense is incredible. I would say... I understand the odds being so close because I think
it's going to be a dogfight.
The Chiefs do have them beat on experience. That's a team
for
that's
sure.
Been there and won, and
I mean, even going through the entire playoffs so far, I mean, they've looked composed this entire run.
Well, a lot of that 49ers team was played against Mahomes in that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So experience, they have experience winning, but a lot of the 49ers team was there before, so they have experience too.
Yeah.
There, how many times?
I mean, I think it was one time, but
that's the difference.
Yeah,
Chiefs have been there time and time again.
I just hope McCaffrey gets his ring. He deserves it.
I do too. I'm pulling for the Niners.
I think America is
going to be a
dogfight.
Oh yeah.
So, the thing is, with the Chiefs, I understand that if the Chiefs win, here's the thing: if the Chiefs win, we're talking Mahomes 3 rings.
Status is in the question.
Well, here's the thing: statistically speaking, he's done more than Brady has at this point in his career. I mean,
and he also doesn't have the number 1 ranked defense.
Let's call it what it is.
He throws checkdowns quite like Tom Brady did, though.
Yeah, exactly. Let's call it what it is, right? The eye test: Mahomes is a better quarterback than Tom Brady. Tom Brady had very fantastic teams. I mean, you got a guy who was winning Super Bowls with the other team scoring 3 points. That's great.
Some of the best defensive behind him. He had some of the best offensive lines.
Exactly. Special teams. Even
there's a lot around him. I think Mahomes is doing more with less, and I think
Eli Manning.
That's something that you got to know.
Yeah, Eli Manning didn't beat Tom Brady. The New York Giants' insane defense.
Yeah,
was great.
That defense also, it was a great defense, but it wasn't a top deep. Like if you look at the stats for the Giants team, they weren't as good as everyone remembers.
They were a mediocre regular season team that got hot.
It was the perfect embodiment of a team effort.
But that's how the playoffs work in football.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
It's one and done. You get hot. You're the team to beat.
But to me,
I think the Niners have that team effort. It's not just Purdy. It's not just McCaffrey. It's not just Kittle. It's not just Fred Warner.
I agree. They have more
Chiefs-
options than the Chiefs, I
Chiefs
think.
is Mahomes.
Yes.
And if you shut down Mahomes, you shut down Kelsey.
That's not.
Yes.
That's difficult
They
to
got
do.
they got Pacheco. They
Yep.
got Rasheed
I mean,
Rice.
Pacheco's looked all right throughout the
Because
postseason right now.
the
I mean,
Chiefs-
all right
the
might
Chiefs
even be an
line has been-
understatement.
Yeah, he's
The
been
Chiefs
good.
line have been tearing it up. I'm a big fan of how they're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Offensive line.
It's going to be a dogfight. I think it's coming down to the fourth, maybe even a field goal.
I'll tell you what. This is a game like where I would say if you force me to pick, I'm taking the 49ers. But I'm not going to be betting a winner. Like I'm not taking.
I think
yeah.
I am going to take the Chiefs.
I respect the pick. I'm like I can't. I'm not betting on a winner. Is what I'm
This-
saying.
this-
I'm not putting
this
my money
might-
on anybody.
This might be a player prop Super Bowl if I'm betting. to be
Yeah,
honest.
that's what I'm thinking.
But the real question is
Over under the national anthem.
heads or tails?
Tails.
Who wins the
Tails,
coin?
lock it in.
You
Lock
just
it in.
locked it.
Tails.
Yeah. I think heads.
Who wins the coin toss? I'm heads. I'm team
Tails.
heads. Who wins the coin toss though?
Tails all the way. Oh, who wins it?
49ers.
Yeah, who wins it?
Telling you right now.
I'm going heads, Chiefs, and they defer. Lock it in.
Ooh.
Lock it in.
Tails, Niners deferred.
Uh-oh.
Ooh. Heads, Niners, deferred.
All right. We'll see. We'll see come Super Bowl time.
Let's see.
Yeah,
I
so
think that
that
think
about
that does
wraps
it.
up. Yep. That was a good first episode.
Yeah, it
If
was.
anybody stuck around to the end, thank you for watching. And so you guys be sure to like the video, comment, let us know what you thought, all that good stuff.
subscribe, share,
share
all
it
the
out to
wonderful
your
things.
loved ones.
click all the colorful buttons you see.
Yeah. So guys, any parting statements or anything?
I think that just about does it. I
Fun.
enjoyed this. Oh,
This
if
was a
you
fun
guys are
time.
watching, I mean, I hope you enjoyed it if you're still watching.
I just can't let me torture myself for 2 hours.
We'll be doing it again next week. Going into the weeks coming, we're going to be working on getting a little bit more of a set schedule. We had a bit of a chaotic week here.
Yeah.
Getting the time to work. This just
We
being
were-
the first episode. We had a lot to launch. So,
The plan.
Just
This is being
guys.
recorded on Thursday, the 8th. Originally, we were supposed to record Wednesday the 7th. We didn't because we said the NBA trade deadline was today. So
Yeah.
we were like, okay, yeah, we'll push it. I think normally we'll be recording on Wednesdays. Ideally.
Most
but,
likely.
we'll see.
yeah, whenever we get a set schedule, we'll throw it in the bio. Sure we'll mention
Let
it too.
let the masses know.
It's just talking sports. I mean, there's nothing else to it. Nothing better though. Talking sports with the boys. You can have this
Yeah.
conversation anywhere, anytime. It's just helping anyone else out. I
Yeah.
don't know.
All right.
All right, gentlemen.
Till next week.
Goodbye.